This week on the Dissect That Film Podcast, 6 people sit down to talk about 20 years of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Come on in and let's have some fun. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dissect That Film, where we dissect the good, the bad, and the ugly of your favorite films and film franchises. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. Woo!
Sorry. Hello.
And joining us are the 3 men behind the wonderful podcast, Gimme Back My Action /horror. We have Charlie, Nate, and Pete. Welcome in, gentlemen.
What's going on?
I thought you said you were
Hi,
going to screw up
everybody.
that intro. That was very well done.
Well,
Yeah,
it's because you all are here. I had an audience. Okay, I couldn't
Yeah,
fuck
there
up.
you go.
I'm on that
Pressure, yeah.
stage. I'm on that stage. The lights are on me. Yeah, I can't. You can't fuck up that intro.
You perform well under pressure. Huh?
Yes, it's just when Dan and Angela here, they get me all hot and bothered, and I don't know what to do.
We make fun of him, and he fucking
Yes,
throws
they
his game
laugh at
off.
me, and
Hey,
do
you laugh
things.
at us.
I,
But
do.
what-
I always make shit going in the background. I'll be doing dumb stuff just to throw him off sometimes.
Or when I'm introducing stuff and you're like staring at me, like stop looking at me.
and this is also what we do. We just go on side tangents that go on for 5 or more minutes each.
It
Side
happens,
quest.
man.
That's what podcasting's all
Yes,
about.
yes.
Side quest. I like
Yes.
that, Nate. That's good.
I played softball growing up. You can't expect me to not be out in left field.
It's true.
Oh,
Not a bump.
Hey, well, welcome in, gentlemen. It is an absolute
thank
honor to
you.
have you on. As I've said it many times before we even started the episode, big fan of your show.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't
Thank
I don't
you.
even know how I got into your show. I think we just became Instagram friends. And
yeah,
you know,
one of
we-
those.
and then
weird sites.
I hopped into one of your episodes, and I've been hooked ever since. And as it's been with a lot of podcasts, then I get introduced to other awesome podcasts that I have to kind of, you know, as I mentioned before, I got into Spoils of Horror because of you guys. Great podcast. You've been on a podcast, one of our friends, Dustin from Flicks and Friends. We're good friends with him, and you were on the Departed episode, which was fucking
Departed.
amazing.
You
right.
a cop.
Potted.
So yeah, we've kind of known of each other for quite a while, and it's
We've been playing this dancing game
yes,
around
like
one another.
when are we gonna get on each other's shows?
I hope they ask me out first.
I'm
It's the
pretty
will
sure
they, won't
Parker
they
was
episode.
in a gutter
I think it
somewhere
was one of
after
those
the
things-
thunder, And he's got his earbuds in. It's like, oh, that's where I found you guys. After, never mind.
And that's Drunk Pete, everyone. Thank you.
I'm not. This is super tired, Pete, because I was at Rocky Horror Picture Show last night, which was marvelous. And
Jealous.
I know it's like been 24 hours later, but I've got this hangover from last night. It's a good time.
So you and I are both
Days.
nursing a hangover today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The hair of the dog.
And the
Oh.
best
That's the
part
way
is
to do
it's
it.
9 p.m. on a Sunday and we're both feeling like shit.
What I mean,
I'm
what
feeling
other
like
way to
shit for
feel?
other
huh? What
reasons.
better way to feel?
It's
It
what
should be
Sundays
9
are for.
a.m.
Getting over what you did on Saturday. Get over the stupid shit you did on Saturday.
Ooh, I'm sober and don't
Uh,
remember
But yeah, but
Saturday.
it was one of those moments where I finally reached out to, I think it was Charlie, and I was like, "Hey, you guys want to come on the show?" And he's like, "We've been waiting, we've been waiting." And I was like, "Yes," you know. And I feel
Like,
bad at
took you
the
forever to
start.
ask.
And, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, I was
There with your
nervous.
fingers-
I was
fingers
nervous.
crossed.
Okay, I was nervous.
You
with
guys are
us,
big
there's nothing
Godzilla
to be
fans.
nervous
Why
about.
did you make us watch this movie? Oh, wait,
Well,
this is-
let's get to that,
Because it's
Pete. Let's
funny.
get to that. So,
Damn. You're
as
supposed to wait to tell us how you feel.
you know what? It's no holds bar here. It's no holds barred. But as you know, this is our Spooktober favorite series where each week, except for our Freddy vs. Jason episode, we pick a movie to cover that kind of fits in, you know, Halloween, you know, spooky times. You know, we cover horror all the time, but this is the time of year where each of us gets to pick our own movie. We already covered Angela's pick, which was Trick or Treat. back the 2007 film. Then we covered Dan's pick, Rodan from 1957.
Yes!
And now we're here. We're here covering the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, which is my pick. And let me tell you why I picked it, because this was my first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I'm not, ashamed to say it. And it's my favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's a movie I watched.
The crickets in the background.
Yeah, I just
that
see
was really weird.
For everyone watching the video, for everyone who's just listening,
quiet.
Just audio listeners, Pete is in pain. He is contemplating why he came on the show.
The more we talk about this, the more he's just gonna disappear.
I have my friend here.
Of all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies throughout my life, this is the one I've seen the most. This is the first one I saw. This is, I don't know. I liked the aesthetics of it. I liked the performance of Leatherface in this. I liked his brute. He was more of a brute. He was scary to me. And yeah, it's just mostly, and I got this. I remember buying this awesome special edition DVD that literally I don't have them anymore. I'm kind of sad, but it came when it rolls out, it's a giant chainsaw.
Awesome. That is
and,
cool.
I remember that.
And down here in
That's
this
very
pouch used to be crime scene photos, and I don't know where they went.
But the joys of movie.
Aww.
Yes. And so, yeah, I used to watch this movie all the time. I loved it. And to be honest, as the person who picked this movie, I can share with you what I feel about it. After watching this the latest time, I still love this movie.
You like what you like, man.
I do. Yeah. So let's go around the room and just talk about for the rest of the cast here, let's talk about our history with this movie. And if you don't have a history with this movie, we'll just move on. So let's start with or past. Yes. So let's start with our guests, and whoever wants to go, just start talking.
I mean, let's have Pete bring the mood down first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll lift everything up afterwards. So Pete, why don't you give everybody your first
I think the first
with
Texas
this movie.
Chainsaw Massacre I saw was the second one. I had a buddy in high school who was one of the few folks in town that had cable, so we would go over there on Saturday nights or something and stay up way too late, getting hopped up on Jolt Cola, and we would watch Hellraiser and TCM and the Freddy and Jason movies, all that good stuff. And I think I saw 2 first, and I was disturbed that I was laughing through some of it. It was very strange. I don't think it was a while before I saw the OG, the original, and might have been early in college when I had rented that, and it legitimately scared me. It was quite good and dirty, and you could smell that movie. It was gross. When this one came out, I wasn't thrilled because, well, I'm not thrilled about most remakes. They're just usually not very good. And I watched this, and it was like it had a lot of good beats to it, but it fell short of the first one. So I think it's the second time I watched it was for this show. So that's what I got. How about you, Nate?
Let's see. Watching this yesterday was the first time I have seen this since 2003. Honestly, I remember watching this when it came out. I didn't go see it in theaters. I was 15 when this one came out. And me and a buddy rented it, and I remember just being pissed off because there was so much blood. I was like, this isn't the original, and just like being an angsty teenager. So when we got the opportunity to cover this, I'd been wanting to revisit it for a minute because of how bad the 2022 one was.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, well, maybe the remake's better than this. Like, I got to revisit this. And then I just have not watched that in forever. So I was like, I'm curious to see if angsty teenage Nate is still going to hate this movie or not, and I will leave that surprise for later. So, yeah, I've only seen this movie twice now. How about you, Charlie?
Saw this in theaters. This was the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre I got to see in theaters. I was excited for it because, hot take. The first Texas Chainsaw Massacre bores me. It's
It's
not
because Charlie's
all-
dumb and doesn't like horror movies, so that's the problem right there.
Charlie likes plenty of horror movies, but you know,
Charlie's
that
all like,
bus.
"Ew, I don't like classics.
Ooh,
I don't
drive
like
that
clowns.
bus. Ow.
That's the other C word. But no, this one I actually, was looking forward to the gore, which it definitely delivered on. That is the biggest thing I've always remembered about this one. I actually owned that same DVD that you had in the background. Traded in at some place. Nate knows the buybacks here in Columbus. Pete probably remembers them too. Traded those in when streaming took off because I'm like, I'm never going to need physical again, and got rid of them. I regret it because it was cool. It was a giant freaking chainsaw. But I've watched this movie, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, I think. Been a while till this episode of wanting to cover it. And again, I'll play along with we'll hold my how I feel about this movie now till the end of the episode. But
One
yeah,
thing
I got
about
some
that,
history.
one thing about that DVD too, when that was released, I want to say that's when they re-released the original one on DVD with its first restoration. It
I think
came
so,
with
yeah.
the package that was hamburger meat
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that one.
That's one I regret not getting.
Mhm.
That was a cool one. Yeah, it was weird. That was that time we were getting those cool ones, like the Army of Darkness one with the leather bound
Yeah.
Necronomicon and stuff like that. It was like let's make the cases feel like something you don't want to touch. That's
Early
pretty much
collectors
how that
knew what
worked.
they were in on for.
Exactly. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. Angela, Dan.
No, you go.
Oh,
you
I get to go, okay.
Because I have to bring it all. I have to bring it all to.
Okay.
Bring it
okay.
around town. Bring it
I will actually mirror Parker. This is actually my first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie as well. For the guys here are not familiar, mate. You've listened to the show a few times, surely, but I did not grow up watching horror movies. It just wasn't how it was with me growing up. But anyway, not gonna regurgitate that spiel. But I actually was at my cousin's. I used to hang out with my eldest cousin and his girlfriend, and they worked at Walmart, and we'd go out. What was it? I don't remember what the rotation was. It was either Monday going into Tuesday or Tuesday going to Wednesday. They'd put all the horror movies or the new movies out.
It was Monday
I remember
going
when
into Tuesday.
That's
I
it.
used to
Yeah.
work in the
No.
electronics department
Thank you.
at a Walmart.
And we'd go out there at midnight, and we'd get movies and snacks and just watch shit.
God, I miss those days.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
I wasn't in school or nothing at the time, so I wasn't doing anything. So I was like, "Fuck it." So we used to go, and then they brought this home. It was my first, or to their house. And that's where I'd hang out. We watched it. First time I'd seen it, and that's about the biggest experience. I actually didn't see the original one until much later. Did we talk about it on the show? Did we cover the original one?
No,
I
we've
can't
only
remember.
done a fresh cut on the 2022.
The cancel culture one. That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Right.
anywho, but yeah, that's about the extent of it. Like I just remember watching. I've seen it a few times since then. So
When did we watch this?
today, yeah, 2 days ago.
That was my first time watching this.
Oh, wow.
All right.
I know.
The history, it's thick, it's full.
I know. 2 days worth of history.
This is a lot of the movies we've covered on this show. Angela has gone in
Yeah,
for the first time, so it's nice. And I
Robust.
like it.
That's cool.
It I didn't get to watch a lot of these. Like they grew up different than I did. I grew up in a very religious household, so I didn't get to watch a lot of anything until probably midway through high school. I snuck around and watched stuff that I wasn't supposed to watch,
So instead of sneaking around
I
doing
know.
drugs, it was sneaking around watching horror movies.
and listening to music that I knew I wasn't supposed to be watching.
The Satan's,
That's
Satan's-
not Creed. No.
Satan's hymns.
My first rated R movie that I got to watch was with my brother and sister-in-law, and it was Driver, and I got to watch that in theater.
Driver.
And
Not
it
like a
was
PS1
or
video
Ryan
game?
Gosling movie,
or dr-
Driver,
or-
Drive.
something like that. It was a rated R movie. It was a race car.
Bean.
It was a race car movie. It could have been Driven, but
Driven with Sylvester Stallone.
telling my mom that I had watched
Yeah.
that movie, you thought it was the end of the world.
It was the end of the world.
It's like nothing in
I
that
mean,
movie at all.
Yeah, but it was the fact that it was a rated R movie.
Ooh, mom.
This is just funny
Yeah.
to me because our daughter's like, you know, we need to watch on Friday the 13th. I was like, Friday the 13th, part 6, and she's like, yeah, my daughter's 7.
Nice.
So, like,
That's the
I-
way it should be, because that's how we all were growing up.
Yeah, see, like that's how my cousins were, and I was just like, it's of course that's not my favorite Friday the 13th. But anyway, there's really no nudity. That's really my only big concern about it. But like,
Nope.
she's watched it with us.
Learned
Like,
that.
anyway,
It's a perfect Friday the 13th movie.
fucking great.
It is our
While we were watching.
no, it is our number one. If we did a coverage of all the Friday the 13ths, like the beginning of last year during one of the Friday the 13ths that happened during the year, and yeah, it's our number one.
Mhm.
Part 6
For good reason.
You can do a lot worse than part 6. That's a good show.
Sorry,
You good?
I had to call and get permission to watch The Mask when we watched it at a friend's house.
The Jim Carrey.
You
Yeah.
were that friend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
We had one
What
of
about
those.
tell about the Ace Ventura thing?
No, we went to watch Ace Ventura, the first Ace Ventura, in theater. We didn't get to go to the theater very often because we were not well endowed with money.
As most people weren't.
My
that was my childhood too. Don't feel bad.
Sure.
So every time we would go to the movie theater, we would get one drink and we'd get one candy bar to split between like the kids, and my parents would get one between themselves, and we'd get the two youngest. I got in trouble for eating a whole candy bar because I wasn't aware that I wasn't supposed to eat the candy bar. I didn't tell you about that.
That's where Victor gets that
But-
from.
No, we went and watched Ace Ventura, and as soon as he started talking with his butt, my mom took me out, and we went and
That's
watched.
part of the movie.
We went and watched My Girl.
How
And-
much
Wait,
dramatic?
those movies came out the same
death
year.
and trauma.
That's
I
a
know.
dramatic
Crap.
film. That's like watching Never-Ending Story.
He needs his glasses.
Yes!
His glasses.
We got
Man's
soon.
talking
Yeah.
out his
Soon.
butt.
no.
It's
We got
too soon. Stop it.
we got there in the middle of the movie, and then when they have his funeral, I'm like, Mom, what
Can
happened?
we go home?
I'm like,
No, I don't like this.
what happened? And here I am. I'm an emotional. I don't even know how old I was at this time. Whenever it came out, I was like, I don't like this at all.
Been better off with
Man
the
with
pet
the talking
detective.
butt was more enjoyable.
I like how we've gone from our experiences with Texas Chainsaw Massacre to this fucking kid who can't stand a bee sting. But anyway, carry on. I'm sorry. It's
It was
insensitive.
multiple
Too
bees in
soon,
his
damn it.
pit.
Stop it.
The dad in Bridgerton died from a bee sting, so I mean,
Oh, spoiler alert to a show I'm never gonna watch.
Ah,
Oh my
I didn't think
God.
I was gonna get to Bridgerton.
they're in like season 3 almost.
That's
but no.
nothing. I could binge
Just
that
one?
real easy.
Just one bee sting. It's
I
like,
don't know.
oh shit, I'm going down.
I guess he was highly allergic to it. No, but looking at watching the documentary we've been watching, it makes me more and more pissed off that I didn't get into special effects because I love special effects makeup and just special effects in general. But that was just like not. That was just like you
Not even on the
understand.
radar growing up.
No,
Yeah.
like I wanted to be in forensics since I was a kid when I first learned about what forensics was. And I didn't even get to go into that because I found out how long I was going to have to be in school and how much it was going to cost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't afford that. I couldn't even afford to stay in a dorm room. Like, I couldn't even afford that. I was
What
like,
you got your car for?
"Forget it."
Carry on.
But
Anyway.
yeah,
What movie are we talking about?
I have
I don't
no
know.
clue.
I'm-
I'm
yeah. What's
enjoying
what
this
are we
conversation.
I don't know.
We're talking about Rodan, right? Can we talk
That's
about
what-
that?
yeah,
before
exactly.
that movie?
Yes, we'll just add it on to what we already.
Hey,
we
it's
already
got Dragonfly
got.
larvae. We're not far off.
This is
from these.
Rodan after hours.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because
Oh.
I'm covering this movie,
See?
I actually watched the beginning for the first time as well.
Oh, yes. Well, I do want to talk about
Yeah.
that movie just a little bit because I know probably most of you haven't seen the prequel to this, which I do
I
recommend.
avoided it until today.
Yeah, I do recommend it. I think it's fine. It's not as good as this one, and if you don't like this one, then it's not good at all. But-
It has a bleak ending. That's what's cool about
That's
it.
the problem with prequels. Is it just like you already know what's gonna
Yeah.
happen? You just kind of get the origin of a lot of the characters you see in this one.
After this one, I have no idea what the order of the next movies are.
it's so it
Like,
went
I
this one
literally don't.
Uh,
Yeah.
TCM the beginning, then it was
That's it.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D.
And that
And
one
then it
is
was-
the legacy sequel to the first one.
Yeah, where Alexandra Daddario plays a 45-year-old woman, but she's only like 25 in that movie.
Oh,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Then there's Leatherface.
Leather. which is the
Seen
prequel
that
to
origin
the original
story
one.
of Leatherface. If you
That's the
couldn't
second
just so
figure that
weird.
out, yeah. I think that's it, and then the 2022 one. So
Okay.
yeah, this franchise is weird. It's
Yeah.
it's a mess, to be honest.
Continuity is not a strong sense.
No.
As much as terrible as the Halloween franchise is, this one's got it beat by a mile.
So like,
I'll
do we
agree with
start
that.
over
Yeah.
again? Do we keep starting over? No, just tell the story, damn it. I mean, geez, it took 12 years for Toby Hooper to decide to make a sequel to the original. And then it just was like, this doesn't feel like a sequel to the original. This is a comedy.
It's comedy.
I'm
Yeah.
so
It's
confused.
totally comedy.
It's the comedy he wanted the first one to be, and he just went, well,
Goddamn
let's just make it a
brilliant
real
movie.
comedy this time.
Yeah, the tone was way different than the original, but I digress.
Mm.
So, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003 was directed by Marcus Nispo, who also directed the Friday the 13th remake in 2009. He was actually his career was all going to start from directing End of Days starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he ended up not getting the job because of, I guess, budget issues. So this was actually his first film because he was well known for music videos and stuff like that. That's how he got involved with Michael Bay, who is a producer and the head of the studio that funded this movie. He would direct a Frankenstein movie in 2004, Friday the 13th in 2009, and Conan the Barbarian in 2011. And his last film was called Exeter in 2015. He went back to doing music videos and really hasn't done a whole lot
Right for
since.
the better.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So
liked Conan.
This was
It was a good
the
movie.
first Michael Bay remake,
it was.
wasn't it, as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was the first
Lo-
movie that
launched them all.
he started Platinum Dunes, which was the production company, and his whole vision was kind of to do what Blumhouse is doing. Like that was kind of
Yep.
Platinum Dunes' original idea, was to just make
okay.
like low budget horror. And then they're like, well, why don't we? But his biggest thing was, I want the rights to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like that. I want that to be the tent pole of all these, because of course, once this came out, then we just got like Platinum Dunes was putting out remakes every year up
Yep.
until. Actually, I think they're doing another one very soon. I'm not really sure where they're at right now. Michael Bay is another one who's just like, what's he doing now? For me, I don't care. As long as it's not another Transformers movie.
Just remake the
These
boogans.
movies. These movies were making a ton at the box office that
Oh, yeah.
opening week. They
Oh,
would
yeah.
drop hugely the second week, and then like they'd be one and done's because we never got a sequel to the Friday the 13th one. We never got a sequel to the Nightmare one.
So
I know there's other ones.
I think so the reason that there was no sequel to the 2009 Friday the 13th was the fact that there was disputes with the creators of the
Yeah,
franchise.
the rights got
And that's
bungled
that's
to hell and
ongoing.
back.
Because they did have sequel ideas for that. We did cover the Friday the 13th remake earlier this year, so we talk a little bit more about
That's
that.
the one where there were tunnels under
Yes.
Camp Crystal
Yeah.
Lake or
Yeah.
something, right? Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Mole people.
Oh, people.
Mole Jason.
This movie was written by Scott Kozer, who would also pen the 2005 Amityville Horror remake, which
Wasn't that the one with?
That was
Ryan
another one.
Reynolds,
Ryan
baby.
Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan
Ryan
Reynolds.
That's the good one, right?
Sexy,
yeah, we like
sexy
that
Ryan
one.
Reynolds. Oh, goodness gracious.
so originally they were going to bring on. They had Toby Hooper and Kim Henkel, who wrote the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They had them come in to write a script, but nobody knows if the script that they wrote is the one that was used, because like no one can clarify it. It's
How do they
weird.
not know?
I don't know. It's like no one will admit to it. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
maybe a
and-
little bit here and there. Yeah, it's a weird situation.
Hinkle
happens at work
is a
a lot.
douchebag as well. So like,
Oh, no.
He's not
Like,
really
I
the only
would not
douchebag
put
of this
anything-
franchise, or at least for this movie.
oh yeah, but like, Hinkle is the one responsible for Next Generation, and like, if you listen to any documentary
Okay.
interviews with him talking about that one, it is just a man who does not listen to any other creative output, thinks he's the only one that's right. So I would be surprised that he wouldn't be the one like, no, I wrote this one single-handedly.
Oh man, gotta love
Just
those
the type
people.
of person he is.
They're the best. Makes you
So
literally
he's not
never
a
want to be
creative
around
to
them.
please him out, though.
Yeah.
Of course, it was produced by Michael Bay and his production company, Platinum Dunes. and as we stated, they did a bunch of remakes throughout the knots with or the aughts, whatever the fuck, however you say it, the early mid to late 2000s. I think the last one. I think the last one was the Nightmare on Elm Street remake in 2010, which didn't do very well, and everybody hates it. This
Poor
stars.
Jackie
I will always say he was a great Freddy. Sorry to anyone who disagrees with me. I think he was great. A great Freddy. This stars Jessica Biel, just coming off of her stint on Seventh Heaven, this was definitely the way to go. Yeah. So you remember that show I was on where it was all Christian beliefs and all that.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna go to a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie and
Why are you
wear
looking at me?
the
It
tightest
just seems like
clothing
something you'd
ever.
watch.
Approved.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to watch R-rated movies, so you got to watch Seventh Heaven, where you're not allowed to kiss boys or
Listen,
something.
I did watch Seventh Heaven.
Told you.
But why is he looking at me like that?
It just was
You know,
that
he's
was
got
that on
hands
CW?
The devil.
Was it on
Yeah,
CW?
I think so. It was
I don't
definitely
know.
well,
Yes,
whatever
that's
CW was
Is it
before.
pretty young people? It's CW.
Yeah.
Pretty one. What's it? No, pretty young white kids with problems. That's what it is. From Mad TV.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Listen,
what that
my-
shit is.
Listen, my mom watched Seventh Heaven every week, and so I somehow got sucked into watching that show.
Rude.
And it was crazy because I remember watching the show and then seeing Child's Play for the first time, and I went, "That's the mom from Seventh Heaven. What the fuck is this?" And then you find out that she's married to the guy who created Chucky. Like he's the David Yeager who created Chucky. He did makeup work on some of the Nightmare movies, and I'm like, this is weird. And then the dad, we don't need to talk about him. He's disgusting.
Exactly. I was
human
about to
What's
say
this
that.
shit?
being. Yeah.
It's like you can't talk about him.
No. So this also stars Jonathan Tucker, who, to be honest, I don't know anything else that he's done. Erica Lershan, who played whatever the other woman's name is. I'm awful with names. Pepper. Her name was Pepper. She was in Blair Witch 2. So there you
Some
go.
seasoning.
Oh, that
Yeah,
avoid
some
that one at
seasoning.
all costs.
Yeah. And she was in Wrong Turn 2. So she was in a lot of
Oh.
sequels. We have Mike Vogel, who plays Andy. I thought this was the guy who did the voice of Anakin in the Clone Wars show, but he just looks like the guy who was the voice of Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars show.
I can never see what that guy looks like.
He was in Cloverfield, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that movie that I seen once and didn't like." She's out of my league. I'm just naming movies I've seen, and the remake of Fantasy Island, which came out a couple years ago, which I don't think anyone saw.
The plane, boss. The plane.
The plane.
That's all I remember from that show.
We have Eric Balfour, who plays Kemper, and he was in a movie called Skyline, which was this weird alien abduction movie that came out in
I know
2011. And he did a lot of stuff on sci-fi, like a lot of just B-rated schlocky movies over there.
He was in the
A lot-
first 2 episodes of the TV show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
If you ever,
yeah,
There
he's-
goes
that
Pete
was my
again on his
jam.
Buffy the
Yeah, I love
Vampire
He's our
pedestal.
Buffy nerd over there.
he was on an episode of
Yeah.
Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman.
That,
He was in
Oh,
an episode
fuck,
of Boy
yeah.
Meets
That was
World.
great.
that was a
Wow.
good show. That was a
Dawson's
good
damn right, it was a
Creek.
good show.
Oh, Christ. You're the fucking
Shocker.
Dawson.
Yeah. What's up with Percy stealing your girl?
More pretty young people with problems.
Wanted to raise a bunch of weaklings. We'd have named them Dr. Quinn and Medicine Woman.
Hell yeah.
Talladega Nights, baby.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Why does it got to be a baby? Oh, man. But the man who carries this movie, other than Leatherface himself, is
Oh, sure.
R. Lee Ermey,
Gunny.
who is just amazing
How
in
could you
everything
not
he's in.
recognize his voice?
Fucking love Gunny, dude.
I was just waiting for, because like, I wasn't watching this movie with like my kids in the room, but like my oldest would be like wandering around. And I was just waiting for him to hear his voice and be like, "Are you watching Toy Story? What the hell is going on here? What's going on with the army
The
guys?
soldiers, the plastic army
Crazy,
dudes.
man."
Yes.
But yeah,
I was waiting for him to yell, "Show me your war face" to the guy in the van. I don't know how many times.
When he said the F word, which we will not say because you don't say that.
No.
I thought he
Oh,
said
that
maggot, and I was like, yes, and Dan's like, that's not what he said.
not
And
what
I
he
was like,
said.
"Shoot."
I was like, I know that's what I want him to say because I thought I was like, that's what mentally, like that's what he's supposed to do. But yeah,
I'm like, that's what he said. He's like, no.
I mean,
Not by the
his,
He is a
subtitle.
one trick. As far as an actor, he's a one trick pony. But
Oh yeah,
it's
does he
great
do it
every
so
time.
well?
He
Plays
nails
people.
that fucking pony, man. That's
Oh,
it.
good.
I'm not sure he could be a romantic lead, but what he does is gold.
No, he was in Saving Silverman.
What?
He got married to Jack Black. It was beautiful.
Okay, I need to see Saving Silverman.
You need to see Saving
I
Silverman.
haven't seen
That's pretty funny.
He's the coach.
But he,
Is that a
yeah,
Kevin Smith movie or something?
Nope.
no,
Oh,
no.
Right.
Steve Zahn and
Isn't
Jack Black
isn't
was the
Sarah
guy that
Silverman in
always-
that movie?
I can't remember.
I
if she's in it.
assumed it was because that's the only Silverman person I know.
Watch Saving Silverman, damn it. I'll let you borrow
We've
it.
talked
Pete.
about 20 other
You
movies.
told- you said you're
besides
gonna
the
give
movie
me
we're supposed to be
blood
Yeah,
watching.
that's how this show goes.
that is how the show goes. 100%.
Yeah, there's no there's
movies.
yeah.
Where's
Well,
my
YouTube,
blood
stay
diner
on
name?
track.
I
Come on.
do. I
Hey,
do want to also
focus.
mention another person that.
Keep going. No, keep going. I'm curious who you're gonna go with.
Oh, the person that I pointed
Oh.
out, Lauren German, the teenager that.
Yeah, she was in
offs
Lucifer.
herself.
Yeah, she's got the natural holster between her legs. I got it.
Oh, the prison.
I
person?
mean,
Yeah.
I was like, wait
Yeah.
a minute, you can fit that there?
Yeah,
Now
we'll get
listen.
to that.
If
Um,
you're
He was
brave enough.
walking.
She's
If you're
that
brave
there.
enough.
she is a main character on the show Lucifer.
And I was
looked
like,
into.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was like, she looked familiar, so I had to look it up.
So-
and I was like, it's her.
So I don't
I
forget.
love Lucifer, but
I'll wait till we get to it. I don't interrupt. I'm sorry. I'll wait till we get to it.
I mean, don't stop now.
So yeah, he plays.
I'll interrupt
So
you.
Arlie Ermy, Sheriff Hoyt, and if you want to watch, in my opinion, his greatest performance is definitely the beginning of Full Metal Jacket.
Sure.
We have
Well,
David,
that's-
most
That's his
iconic.
breakthrough for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have David Dorfman as Jedediah. We've talked about him on the show before because he was the little
We
creepy
have.
boy in The Ring.
Fuck that kid.
Oh wow, the American Ring.
Yes,
Good stuff.
yes,
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't
Yep.
miss that. Sure.
He was also in the
Yeah.
sequel, which is horrible. Uh,
And, the Japanese
Yeah.
sequel is very good, by the way.
the funny thing
Is it?
is
Okay.
that the American sequel is directed by the director of the original Japanese
Correct.
Ring, which is just
Yep.
like what? And then it turned out
Yeah,
to be
they
awful.
brought him over.
It happens.
And we have
American version
Andrew
sequel.
Bernarski as Thomas Hewitt, aka Leatherface. We've also talked about him on the show before because he plays Christopher Walken's son in Batman Returns. He plays Chip Shrek in Batman
He's
Returns.
Chip.
He is Chip.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Are you serious?
We covered that last year,
He
didn't
is
we?
Chip. Yeah.
We
Batman
did.
Returns.
We talked about him doing that walking impersonation.
Dude.
Yeah.
He's Zangief in
He's
Street
hard.
Fighter.
Do a
No.
walk.
No.
He's in
He's
Street
Zan-
Fighter as well?
Yes,
Yeah,
he's Zangief.
Yeah.
Turn off the
That's right, he's
TV.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's Zangief
Wow.
in a fucking movie.
That's amazing.
God. We need to do
That's
the
it.
Street Fighter.
Yes,
we have to do Street Fighter. Plus, it's got a Godzilla reference in it too, so we have to do Street
He-
It
Fighter.
does.
He was in Any Given Sunday. He played he was called Madman Kelly. He would paint his face like a skeleton
Yes.
before games. He was in Scooby Doo, the live action Scooby Doo. I had to mention that 'cause
Oh,
that was a childhood staple for me.
That movie didn't suck.
No.
SMG.
It was pretty good.
And he would return to play Leatherface in the prequel, TCM The Beginning. His last film was in 2015. So a little controversy with this guy because him and Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I guess they weren't big fans of each other. Gunnar Hansen actually was like, there was actually video of like Gunnar Hansen insulting Bernarski's performance as Leatherface, like talking shit about like, well, this is how Andrew Bernarski shuts the door, like that iconic, sliding door,
Yeah.
and it was like really wimpy looking, and it was like they had this weird feud. And when Gunnar Hansen died back in 2015, Bernarski just, it was either a tweet or wherever, just put boo-hoo. And I was like, God
That's
damn.
not cool.
oh,
And
Throw him shade at a dead man. That ain't cool.
I guess so. According to Wikipedia, which we all know how reliable it can be, but I guess a fan just said to him, "It's nice of you to insult the legend that is Gunnar Hansen," and he replied, "Could give zero fucks. Suck his dead nuts." I'm like,
Wow.
God damn.
Well,
His dead nuts specifically.
So yeah, they did not like
it's
each
so
other,
funny.
and then when Hansen died, it just got worse, and so a lot of people do not like Benarski. I've heard stories from people, and I've seen things like on Twitter about stories about him of the fact that like he's not the nicest person at like conventions and stuff, and he thinks he's like the Leatherface. It's just a weird situation, and it sucks because like his performance in this movie is really good, and and Gunnar Hansen's performance in the original is really good. To be honest, everybody in this franchise who plays Leatherface does a really good job. It's not, there's not a lot of dialogue, of course. It's more in the action of the performer, being able to kind of be scary, and to show your size and be able to wield that chainsaw and make it scary. And I feel even with the bad Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, you still have a good performance by whoever is behind the skin mask, So, but it's kind of sad to read all that because it's like I just wish everybody could just be nice to each other. Like, just have this like Leatherface like support. Like, hey man, this is really cool. We got to play the same character. We did our own thing. But yeah, that just sucks to read.
Yep.
But I just imagine him being Chip from Batman Returns. I'm like, well, he's probably that guy. That's who he is. He's that guy. Another awesome addition to this movie is they brought back John Larroquette to do the narration at the beginning and the end of the movie. He is the one, of course, who reads the opening crawl of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not sure. I don't know if he comes back for any of the sequels.
He did for 2022.
Okay.
Yep.
He does the narration on the documentary about Sally in
Okay.
the very, very beginning.
Right.
He has like 2 lines or whatever, but
Do you know what they paid him to do the narration on this film? Was it his?
Not this one, the first one.
Well, the first one was like a couple of joints and a pat on the back or something.
Yeah, because he was like an unknown. Like this was like
Unknown,
his biggest
nothing,
job at the time.
he was happy to come back for this one, I think, just for free.
Did a good job.
Yeah, that's awesome. It was really cool to have him come back.
It's definitely. I mean, the original Texas Chainsaw. I watched it a couple months ago with my brother-in-law, and I'm like, "Hey, that's John Larroquette." It is not, and you can tell it's a very young John Larroquette there,
Mhm.
and in this film, it's definitely John Larroquette. It's unmistakably his voice at this point.
Right.
Really cool addition. Another thing from the original is they brought the cinematographer back from the original, who we've talked about twice on this show because he was also the cinematographer for the Friday the 13th remake. Oh, I should mention his name is Daniel Pearl. He did Friday the 13th remake, and he also did one of the worst Alien movies, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, one of the darkest movies ever made.
The filter. Take the filter off.
I can't see anything that is happening in this goddamn movie.
Yeah.
Turn the brightness up just a little bit. Dan, you can sit there with your smirk and say whatever you got to say, but you're the one who was like, I saw everything.
I never problem seeing anything in the movie. It was a little on the dark side. But I saw it.
Turn the contrast up on your TV or something.
I don't want to have
we
to
just
do
put it in and watched it.
Nah.
That's it. It was fine.
Nah.
I ate my carrots, motherfucker. All right, don't give me that shit.
And I had that vision.
This movie was released almost 2 months after Freddy vs. Jason, so we got 3 iconic horror characters on the big screen in 2003, which is pretty wild. Because I think Chucky's sequel, Seed of Chucky, came out in 2004. So imagine if we got all of those.
Seed of Chucky.
I love it. I love
so
them all.
dumb and so wonderful.
I love them all. Give me more Chucky. Yeah, it was released October 17th, 2003. It ran at 98 minutes, which is just a perfect amount of time. It has a budget of $9.5 million and made $107.4 million. No wonder we got 75 more remakes from 2003 to like 2011 or
like
whatever.
The first 2 weekends, it made all that money.
It's wild.
Crazy thing though,
Probably.
like this being 2003, because we mentioned this on our Freddy versus Jason episode, where 20 years later with this movie, this is people's like certain generations' first introduction to Leatherface, like you
We
said.
did say, yeah.
So like it's the same thought process where you have. I know there's some people that I work with, like if I were to mention the original ECM to this one, they're probably gonna be more akin to this one because they were a kid when this one came out,
Mhm.
and now 20 years later, like that's the one that scared them compared to the 70s one because of that being from the 70s essentially. Like
Right.
there's always
Yeah,
this.
I was going to say that this is your TCM. This is the first TCM you guys saw was this one. And I know I saw the second one first, but I still saw the original before this one. And that's why it leaves a weird taste in my mouth. But I can totally see where this generation watching this film today would go, this is terrifying. And I get it. I completely get it. It just, for someone who has seen the original and knows what it meant to horror, there's a little, it's a little tough to digest this new one. But trust me, I get it. Why, if this was your first one, why it's near and dear to your heart. I completely get it. Because it is. There's some really good, gritty, scary, some legit scary stuff in it. But we'll get into the rest of it later. I do not fault anyone for if this was your first Texas Chainsaw, that it is your favorite and it was the one that scared you the most.
Well, if you were
And I just
already,
brought the whole
no, I was just
good,
I was just trying to segue. I was
reaching
just
halt.
trying to figure out a segue
No.
from that to
No.
what we're gonna go next.
Let's talk
That's a
about
good
this movie.
setup. It was a
Do
good
we want to
setup.
talk? Are we all ready to talk about the plot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003?
Yes.
All right,
Oh,
let's do it.
why not?
So, of course, the opening of this movie is the wonderful narration by John Larroquette as he explains the now named Hewitt family, which
yes.
what was
Instead of being the Sawyer
the
family.
Sawyers, right? Yeah.
Sawyer.
And they're we get the iconic like light bulb flash, like the camera flash sound effects as they're going through. They're
Why was that name change done? Does anybody know
No
why
clue.
that was like
Don't even know. Like
you don't say it's Jason Voorhees and then it's Jason
Smith.
Samson now. You just
yeah.
you don't change the name if you're I don't know.
well, they
I
were going
find
to
that-
give Jessica Biel's character the same last name as
Yep.
Sally.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't understand
But-
why not just
but
name
call
her
her
Sally.
Sawyer. I mean, that's the name. That's the
Yeah.
you don't change Skywalker's last name, right? Even if you remake the movie. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah,
No, that's
it's
a
a
fair
weird one
point.
because as I said before, and as Pete stated, like this was my first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so I
Yeah.
just thought that was normal. I thought they were the Hewitts,
Mhm.
and then I remember seeing the original not too far after this one, and was like, Sawyer, what
Sawyer,
is
right.
what? All right, so
Witness protection.
it's you get like this black and white. They're recording. The cops are going through finding evidence. You're finding teeth in the river, and they go around and find things. And he's talking about all the evidence, and they're talking about how the most the best evidence they have is this video recording of a cop going down into the basement to investigate, and then it kind of cuts to our title card.
To me, that's the best part of this whole remake.
It's
Is the
good.
opening
It's real
and
good. That
closing
opening is real
with
good.
the black and white with the cop. Like
Mhm.
that is solid horror right there. Like that part, I fully enjoy having tacked on.
Yeah,
It made like I was really excited when I saw that.
Yeah,
The first time I saw this one, I'm like, oh, maybe we've got something going on here. This is nice.
but then when it
And then
goes
we
to
get
the
the rest
title
of the movie.
card and says the movie's in 1973, I forgot that this took place in 1973 because the remake I thought just took place in modern times because everyone is so goddamn good looking that all of them look like they are in 2003, not 1973.
I think-
Even as the movie's trying to
Yeah.
sell it to me, I'm like, nah, these are all definitely 2003. Like
I feel like
it oozes
Oh, yeah.
early 2000s.
I feel like
These-
Morgan is
none
the
of these
only
people eat
character.
red meat. They don't drink beer. They don't eat red meat.
Yeah.
These are
they're
they're very
they're-
healthy young people.
distractingly good looking, all of them.
Distracting. Yes.
Especially Jessica Biel. It's like there's no way. No,
All I was doing was looking at her stomach. I don't know what else was going on in the film.
You were looking at her stomach?
Just
I
her
was not
stomach,
looking
right,
at her
Nate?
stomach.
Just the stomach. And you know what? Those early 2000 low-rise
Just
jeans.
north of the stomach is where, like her. No, never mind.
But, like my TV was like this ratio
Oh.
for some reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Really?
You had it zoomed in
Oh,
to
okay.
one particular.
All right.
Okay, I get it.
I missed the
Nate.
joke
Yeah.
there. Woo.
This is why
Every
Nate was
time
late
she
today
came
because
onto
he
the
was.
screen, Dreamweaver played in the background.
That's it, man. That's it. It was
Someone else had
distracting
that
though.
filter?
Like, no, I had that filter. But I'll say that does make it distracting from knowing what the old, Texas Chainsaw
Not
Massacre
that they're
was.
like bad looking in the old one
No.
whatsoever. It's
No,
just
but
like
they're very real. They're very.
This
real.
was just-
They're tired kids on a road trip. They don't have any makeup on, and they're dirty and probably smelly. These people have had a professional do their makeup, and somehow,
like you said, the original movie you could smell, and it's not
Yeah.
a good smell. This movie you can smell, and it's a very pleasant smell.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's.
I have a
Well, and
contradiction
the
to that.
camera. Go ahead.
Please do.
The inside of that van. I see the inside of that van, and I see that same fucking blanket thrown over the back seat, and I'm a car guy, and I've been in 8 trillion old cars and fucking junkyards, and I can smell the back of that fucking water-stained, moldy-ass seat
That
that's got a blanket
rust
over it, and you
that
sit
is
down
going
on it, and
on.
you sit down on it in broad daylight, and you could see the dust poof into the air. Yeah, like that's what I smell.
Yes.
They are
How we
well
built
groomed.
communities back then.
Clearly, they are well groomed people. I will tell you that. They're probably
Yes.
smell fine. The inside of that car, probably not so much.
I know there was as we get farther into the movie, I'm like, I don't think Jessica Biel probably smells good anymore. It was a weird thought that just popped in my head. I'm like, she
I
just
felt like she got better as she went on. I don't know. Maybe it was just me.
I won't kick
It
her out
doesn't
of bed
help
for
that the-
stinking. Let me tell you.
It doesn't help that like the camera is fully focused on how these people look.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
like very rushed camera shots or anything like that to show the franticness. It is, oh, she's running. Let's focus directly on her ass. Let's focus on the rest of her assets. And oh, is it scary time? Okay, let's be a little bit scary. But that's what I mean by distracting with
But
them.
I got an idea
is-
here. Let's just throw
What's
her in a white shirt, and we're gonna have it rain on top of her.
it's
it
gonna
just has to
rain.
happen.
Then she goes into
Very
a
critical to the
slaughterhouse where
plot.
there's a sprinkler,
Mhm.
Yeah.
And she's sweaty.
water.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the good stuff.
all the water. So
This
A
was-
little outnumbered here.
if this movie was made in the 80s, she would not have had a bra on.
Sorry.
I'm telling you, it would have just been a white.
No.
It would have.
Okay,
I don't
would
think
have
she had a
they were-
bra on.
you think they were bras in the whenever this took place?
No, I know. I mean, she wouldn't have had it though. But in this movie,
Absolutely
she
not.
She
That
does.
wouldn't have had a bra on.
No,
she
she
probably
Women's
wouldn't even have
wear.
underwear on.
Probably not.
I mean, I'm
Her in the
surprised.
She has all the right to do that. I'm just saying for the whole wet T-shirt competition.
I mean, I
thing.
guarantee Michael Bay had some sort of input. It was like, hey, it would
Oh,
be better
yeah.
if you didn't wear a bra. And she was like, no, I'm gonna wear a bra.
I wish they made Leatherface just have a white, wife beater
Like a-
on with,
Well, that's the thing,
with him
even
not
like
wear a
White
bra
beater,
and him get
low-rise
wet.
jeans.
Yeah, him get
Yeah.
wet too with her. So
Yeah.
it's quality.
But he's attractive too. He's just like a handsome version of mankind
He's
in
just
this
a
movie.
Just a sweet
Everyone's
little boy.
too good looking.
He knows not to come around here.
Yeah. Arlie's eyebrows, those are perfect. They're on point.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everybody's groomed so well in this.
Yeah.
way too well.
So we meet our core group of characters who are on their way to a Leonard Skinner concert in Dallas,
Couldn't they have picked
and
anybody
also
else?
they came from Mexico where they got a pound of weed. A pound! Wow!
Of the marijuanas.
And it's in a
Marijuana.
pinata.
It's that spinach leaf marijuana.
Oh, sorry, it was 2 pounds. I even wrote it down. It's 2 pounds. Of
Give me some of that
Wow.
jazz. Give me some of that jazz cabbage.
Oh man. But yeah, you kind of meet everybody. You meet the two. It's Andy and Pepper that are making out in the back seat. They just picked up Pepper like the day before. Because you have to, you have
I
Morgan,
can't believe we
who's,
just met yesterday.
who's just he's the Franklin of this movie. Franklin from
Yeah.
the original. He is Franklin. He gets tortured probably.
He
the
gets
most.
shit on so
Yeah,
bad, but he
gets-
sells it.
Yeah, he gets it the worst.
Oh yeah.
So they're driving in this really cool van, and they almost hit a hitchhiker who doesn't look very good, and so they end up picking her up.
She's rough.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a piece of shit, but keep going. Sorry.
Exactly.
It's the 70s though. The
Yeah.
hitchhiking was a thing back in the early
I've
70s.
seen enough
Yeah.
It was a
porn to
thing
know
through
that
the
this
80s
is how
too.
this is how either a
Yeah,
horror movie or a porno
this
starts.
is not an
You don't do it.
unusual thing, but this poor gal is certainly in distress.
Yeah,
so
she looks really bad, and of course Aaron is the one.
You're like, keep driving for sure. But
Yeah, because
back
Aaron
then
is
you-
the
you
one
would-
who makes him stop to pick her up.
Yeah.
And so she, she's going through all the emotion. She's crying. She's pretty much, stating that she's trying to get away from him and, and all that. And then they enter into the town and she starts to freak out because she's like, you're going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way. And she almost makes the van crash. And they stop. And that's when she literally like breaks down and just whips a pistol out of her crotch like a fucking magician pulling a rabbit out of
What
a
is the
hat.
name for that? Ham wallet? What is it?
Prison
Deep,
purse.
deep concealment.
Yes,
Deep concealment.
Yeah. And yeah, she sticks it in her mouth and blows herself away. And you get the really awesome camera shot where it actually goes through the hole in her head.
It's good effect.
Yes.
Very
It's
cool.
It's a great. I don't know how they pulled that off at
So
all.
they
It's
had
good. It's
to
really good.
saw the top of the van, and it was like a pulley system,
Yeah.
like a track system that would
Really?
get it to go through. Yeah.
Oh, that's
And it
cool.
was a dummy, of course. It was really funny to watch like the outtakes of them trying to get the shot because like they would shoot it, and sometimes the head would flop forward or would flop to the side, so they couldn't get it
Oh,
because
that's
they needed the
fantastic.
camera shot to go through it to see
Yeah.
the rest of them reacting to what happens. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've
To me,
actually
that
seen.
camera
I've
shot
seen that.
is like the best part of the remake.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's unique. You see it go from the back of the van as well in one singular flow. Like it's just that's something that's cool.
Yeah, at this point, I'm still on board with this film.
It's this in the original cut of this movie. This was actually a lot more graphic. They had to take stuff out.
And this is still graphic. I mean, you still
Yeah.
see her
Yeah, we still see
blow the
chunks
back
of
of her head out.
brain.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
skimp around it. Originally,
they
her
really
character was supposed to be like 15 or 16 years old, and they ended up changing it because they just thought it was going to be too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Texas Chainsaw. I can totally see where that would have been, and a 16-year-old that would have added to the horror.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that
But it
would
might have gotten
definitely-
NC-17 for the age of the person.
I like this hitchhiker compared to the original one though, because like the original one, he just cuts his thumb, and they kick him out, and then this one's like, oh no, they have a dead body they now got to deal with, and
Yeah.
it kind of progresses that plot of they have to call
Again,
the
I'm on
sheriff. They got to
board
do
with the
something
movie.
about this.
Here,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, because it's the original. You later find out, spoiler alert, that he is one of the brothers. He's like part of the Sawyer family. Where this one is like she's a victim of the family, and as you see throughout the film, you see like remnants of past victims, which I really liked being able to like. You don't know who anybody is, but you see the pictures or just, and it's never focused on unless a character picks something up. But they'll be like walking by, you just see like a pair of shoes, or you'll see sometimes you see like I saw a pair of teeth, yeah, but it's not something they were focusing on. I really liked how they kind of added that in. So yeah, they freak out. They throw the pinata, the weed pinata into the grass. They're trying to figure out what the hell they're gonna do. They got to get rid of the body, so they got to find some help. So they go to this really clean looking general store. And they meet this lovely old lady, and they're like, "Can you call the police for us?" And she's like, "I got you." And she calls
It'll
him up.
cost you a
Dime.
dime.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like I don't care.
The refrigeration unit is no longer good in that case. I am telling you.
I don't think anybody was going to go in there and buy anything. In it's a lot of flies. So yeah, she calls the sheriff, and then she pretty much is like, "Yeah, so." He wants you to meet him at this mill, and they're like, "What? Why can't he come here?" Well, it's just gonna take him too long. He's already doing something, and it's just gonna be easier if you go meet him there.
He's like 2 hours out.
As
No,
soon
no, no.
as I
That's-
hear that, I'm like,
That's when you push the body out and drive away. Be like,
Now it's your problem.
problem.
Yep.
Yes, not mine.
I was thinking that the whole time. I'm like, oh, you know how we can fix this? I'll make it your problem, and that cop will come out straight away.
Yeah.
But no, it's no longer my problem.
I mean, finding out what you find out at the end of the movie, I don't think anything would have happened, to be honest. They could have dumped the body and drove away, and they'd been like, well, we wanted her anyways. She was part of, she escaped in the first place.
Supper's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. It tastes like chicken.
So they go to the mill, but the cop doesn't show up. It takes them a while. And then they vote on whether or not they're going to get rid of the body and just leave or not. And Erin, of course, is like the voice of reason. She's like, no, we can't do that. She has a family. We can't, they need to know where she is, and then she then wanders off because she hears a noise. Where are you going?
They would have survived.
You're right. This is all her fault.
They would have survived. She would have been outnumbered.
I think Morgan was the voice of reason this whole time. Like, let's just fucking leave. Yep. He's like, this whole time, just fucking leave.
Yeah.
So he was the less annoying Franklin.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah,
this is Franklin redeemed.
Yes,
for sure.
Rise from the chair, young
Franklin. You do. You talk about Franklin, and I cannot help when you mention him to think of the annoying kid from Friday the 13th, Part 5. Hey, you want to buy my chocolate bar? He gets his head taken off. That's what I'm thinking of. Like
fucking Roy.
Yep.
Was Franklin the turtle or whatever?
Oh yeah. Attacked by Gamera Kaiju.
Franklin. Sorry.
I don't know.
I was over here singing Viva Pinata, damn it.
Damn it.
So she wanders into this abandoned mill.
It's filled with fun.
But it's filled with weed now.
Yeah.
Which is fun for some people.
Weed is fun for some people.
And they find a possum inside like a cabinet, which I loved reading the behind the scenes of this one because they couldn't get the possum to react like they wanted to. He was just being too adorable every time they would open the case.
They're adorable.
Yeah, they were gonna kill it. My wife's like, no, possums are great.
I got time for possums. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, anytime I see a possum on the road, I'm like, I want to stop. I want to pick this guy up. He's my new friend.
I'm gonna put him in my backyard. I'm never gonna have ticks again.
Never gonna have ticks or grubs or nothing. Yep.
Yeah,
they're good.
And they won't get killed by a snake.
I don't have that problem, but that's a good
well, we have copperheads.
Good piece of knowledge to have.
Yeah, that is a Tennessee thing. That's for sure.
One of two.
And water moccasins. Those are bad.
God damn.
Yes. I don't remember
the look angry.
No, right.
They are.
One of two. Well, we also have rattlesnakes here too. Yeah. One of two native marsupials to the United States. Possums.
What's the other marsupial? Or is it? What's the other marsupial?
I can't remember. I'll have to look it up.
Platypus?
Yeah, I thought they were the only one.
No, platypus are Australian.
Australian, okay.
Because they have to have the only venomous mammal. Thank you, Australia.
Right.
Well, platypuses are God's joke anyway, so.
God's like, I'm out of ideas.
That was Australia was where all the rejects for the animal creations went. They're like, no one's gonna go there.
The island of misfit toys, but
exactly.
That's what the British did with their prisoners. I mean, it makes sense.
Don't leave your shoes outside. Don't leave them on the floor because you might.
Never go. I'm just never gonna visit. Take that, Australia. You don't get me.
Don't pick up anything out of the water, so you don't get the nasty snails that can pierce your brain through your ears.
Oh no, it's not through your ear. That's cone snails.
Yeah. Don't.
Now that's a new fear unlocked that I didn't need.
Well, no, I just wanted to quote. I just also wanted to bring a quote in of for Jurassic from Lost World. So what happens if you shoot yourself in the foot? Don't do that because you'd be dead before you realize you made a mistake. That's what he talks about. It's the venom of Conus peperassus. That's exactly what he's talking about. They make they have a myotoxin. They can actually make almost any kind of toxin within their body, and they will fuck you up.
I just hate this more and more.
It's not going to Australia ever.
They have one of the They have one of the most venomous octopus in the world.
Zealand.
It's like that big.
Yeah, hobbits and shit.
It's close.
Go to New
what are you talking about? They have the creature from Dead Alive there. That's
shit with the saggy tits.
I'm fully down. I'll be Mama's little boy.
What's it, the
Sumerian monkey or something like
the
that.
monkey
yeah.
rat?
Yes, Mary
The
Monkey.
monkey rat.
Yes.
That's what it is. Yep.
Yep. From Skull Island. So they also find, after they find this possum, they also find Dirty Boy Jedediah, who
Hate this motherfucker.
man,
I
they
cannot watch
they could not
him.
give this kid realistic looking fake teeth because they just look like
Nope.
teeth he got at a,
Oh.
at a Spirit Halloween.
And he tries to pretend he's a
Trying to get him
hillbilly,
to stay in. He's constantly
Which-
licking the top of his mouth.
which I've grown up with people that have teeth that actually do look like this. And I'm like, I don't think I've
Oh.
ever seen them lick their teeth. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? I was like, did he eat something and he just can't get it out of his teeth? I couldn't watch
That's
him.
possible too.
I
They're just
could
trying to keep him
not.
on track half the time. I
I've
Got
swear,
peanut
him
butter
looking
stuck to the roof
around.
of his mouth.
Like they did to Mr. Ed and put peanut butter in his mouth to make him lick
Yeah.
his fucking gums. Like, stop it.
So they ask him, it's like, hey, we're looking
Wilbur.
we're looking for the sheriff. And he's like, oh, he's at home getting drunk. And they're like, Alan
Yeah.
Morgan's just like, well, if he don't give a shit, I don't give a shit.
Neither
Let's
do
get rid of
we.
this body. And that's when everybody
Yeah.
should have went, you know what, Morgan, you're right. Instead, Aaron goes,
You're right. That's right.
no, we're going to go. Where does the sheriff live? And we're like,
Uh,
I don't want to be friends with her anymore.
She's just like, listen, I'm going to tell
Bye.
you what's the best for everybody. I was like, all right, we'll see you later.
She
I'm
can
gonna
walk home.
Leave you here with the body, and we're out.
Just
We're gonna go see Leonard Skinner.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You're
Front row to Leonard Skinnerd.
Yeah.
God
I've seen
damn.
Leonard Skinner. It was weird.
I
That's
have
a-
too.
That's a
and
way
I
I've
agree.
never heard it
Have you?
described before.
I suppose it was the crowd that was weird, not the band.
Oh.
Anyway,
maybe you had to be there for 70s Skinner. Maybe like, but everything probably
this
was
was-
weird in 70s.
this was '90s Skinner. This is after this.
Yeah,
thing.
you need
Yeah,
to be there for the
see?
original Van Zant, not
yeah,
Brother
yeah,
Van
yeah.
Zant.
We didn't have that.
That's what I saw. But the opening group was a country version of AC/DC, and they were called AC Dixie, and that was definitely something new
Nice.
for me.
It's clever. I like that.
In a world that has been completely divided for so long, two movie fans have decided to unite for the people and the betterment of mankind. One, an action movie buff. The other, a horror movie fanatic. Together, they will try to bridge the gap of both genres into one podcast with their battle cry, Give me back my action and horror movies. Listen along as Charlie and Nate alternate each week talking about action and horror movies they cherish, mostly from the VHS era. Also, including some modern examples that felt like the movies they grew up with by answering the battle cry, Give me back my action and horror movies. Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Look them up on Facebook and Instagram.
So Aaron and
Folks
Kemper
enjoy it.
Aaron and Kemper venture to the sheriff's house, and the rest of them just wait at the van, just in case the sheriff shows up. And this is what like I was talking about earlier, this is where they're wandering through the woods and they see like all the burnt up cars and like just remnants of victims past. But they don't know that. They just think it's just junk in the woods as they're making their way through.
If I was in this universe, I'd be dead, by the way. So I'm like, oh, old cars. I should go ask them about that. And then I'd be murdered. Like, that's
How much for
exactly.
this one?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's like,
He just
hey,
taps
Get
on the
the roof
floor.
of it.
I'd be
Got a
like,
title?
"Go."
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
What you
Dude.
looking to trade here?
No, you wouldn't even. I know exactly how it go because I've dealt with people like this. This thing got this thing got a title. She don't need no title for those. You just drive it
Well,
around because you're in the
That's
sticks.
before
This one-
titles.
It's just-
Yeah, that's before titles. Can I buy it? No, it's not for sale. I'm gonna fix it up one day. You have 357 cars out here.
and this
Yeah,
is-
but one day
Fix it
this
up.
one, I know what I got
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Okay,
That's
okay.
what you got to.
My God.
I gotta tell this story. I fucking love this real quick because I've mentioned it before and y'all probably hadn't heard it. My dad once stopped at this one guy's. This was I don't
I
know.
know the
Probably when I was
story
really
now.
low. Yeah, you know the story.
I'll be
It's
there.
probably like over 30 years ago. I wasn't around for this. My dad stopped at a place. This guy had an old Challenger in this yard. It was like a 72, 74 Challenger. It was
Ooh.
just sitting there forever.
Oh, that's sexy.
I know. And he went up to him and he's like, "What do you want for it?" And he's like, "Well, you can have it, but there's a catch. There's a tree growing through the center of the engine bay. There's no engine in it, obviously. You can have it if you can take the car without cutting the tree down.
Okay.
That was it. That was like, I was like, why the fuck you gotta be a dick about it?
Did your
Just
dad
cut the
do
fuck-
it?
No. He's like, fuck that.
Oh.
Because you got to cut, you could fix it. Like, I don't know how big the tree is. You could just cut the radiator support out, and hopefully it wasn't much clearance on the shock towers, just back her up. But the guy was just being an asshole to be an asshole. Instead
I
of
was
like,
hoping that the guy was going to be like, the car's cursed, you see. It's known to murder people, you see. You can
Well,
have it if you want the curse, you see.
well, do you got anything else? Well, I've got yogurt. The Frogurt is also cursed or whatever. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Potassium, whatever. That's bad.
Yeah, can I just go? It was relevant. I just felt like bringing it up.
It also comes with sprinkles. That's good.
Evil sprinkles.
So
Bad.
they make it to the house, and they are met by the Legolas man that lives there, and they ask like,
Legolas?
yeah, Legolas.
Legolas man.
Yes, the
Old
Legolas.
Legolas.
Bow and arrow, and he can
Old
walk on top
Legolas.
of the snow.
You got like Gimli's
Just as
head mounted
beautiful,
on the
'cause
front.
Legolas is beautiful.
No, he's got to have Gimli like stuffed on the couch, and he's like, "Morning, old friend." Just walks in. Leatherface took care of it for him.
No, I to be honest, I don't even remember. Oh, Old Monty is his name.
Is that his name?
Yeah, his name is
This
Monty.
Uncle Monty.
Yeah, you hear
This has
him.
to be our Gramps analog.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. So they ask if the sheriff lives there. He says no, but he'll call him for them, and they're like, okay. So in the beginning, the prequel movie to this, you find out why he has no legs, and it's hilarious.
Did you lose him in a dancing competition?
Not that
You
hilarious.
might as well have.
He was cutting the rug, man.
Lieutenant Dan.
Oh, he
Fucking square.
I mean, I
face.
can
Yeah.
share.
Yeah.
I can
That's how
share it
that
with you all
works.
if you don't care. But
It is.
I don't care. Give me it.
so, so he something happens to one of the legs, and so they ask Thomas
Gets
to cut
shot
one
in
of
the knee.
Yes, and so they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Thomas, you got to cut the one leg off." And while he's cutting the one leg, he accidentally nicks the other one, and so Sheriff Hoyt goes, "Well, you got to make them even," and just cuts them both off. And so that's why he has no legs.
And then the mom's like, why'd you have him do that? He goes, balance.
Balance.
Oh God,
Dude, I really, that's so stupid and wonderful, but I really would have loved it.
It is.
The horrible.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Prequel is about as dumb as like the Han Solo prequel movie, where it's like, we're not going to give you an origin about the character. We're going to give you an origin about how this guy lost his legs,
and
how the sheriff got
became-
the uniform.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Oh,
The reason
thought-
why Leatherface is Leatherface, he was born. That's why.
I was
Yes.
hoping it was like about the old Central Texas square dancing accident of '68.
We don't talk about that square dancing accident. A lot of good people lost their legs.
Oh,
So yeah, I love it when they go inside, or she goes inside to call the sheriff, and she's talking to, I'm guessing, the actual police, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll be out there in like 30 minutes." Here's this is the something that confused me, because she says, "Oh yeah, we'll be there." Did they ever show up there? Because
No.
the time frame from when she talks to them to when everything else happens in this movie is definitely longer than half an hour.
I want to say he says, "Hey, I'll dial them for you." I don't think he called the sheriff.
Oh, you think that he
He
actually
just
like,
called.
talked to
He
somebody
just called
random?
probably someone in
She
their little
talked to
clique.
someone. Oh,
But
yeah, that's
somebody in
true.
their clique. Is this a sheriff's office? Yes.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
We'll send
It's
them
the
right
girl
out.
at the
Oh.
gas station, probably, or something.
Yeah, because that's their mom, or it could have
Yeah.
been the other ladies on the property
That makes
didn't have a
sense.
phone. Yeah, one of those things.
Yeah, that didn't have a phone.
Because in
Liar.
the prequel, they do mention that that's the only cop that gets killed that Ermi takes over as. So
Yeah.
then, like, that was another thing. I was like, well, if she's talking to a cop, then clearly, like, they found a replacement in
I just
5
assumed-
years.
I just assumed he wasn't a cop. It was just a charade.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Charade.
Or charade. That's fine. We can do that.
He just takes
but
the
in-
uniform.
in Texas Chainsaw Next Generation, like the cops were part of the whole family.
Well, it's because
right?
they were part of the Illuminati, you see. There was a whole big thing in
Oh.
the Next
I
Generation.
forgot. Yes, they're
You
part of
remember
it.
the government pays people
I'm
to
sorry.
scare
Yes.
people.
Mm.
That way we
Yes.
can live off the energy
Yes.
like Monsters Incorporated.
Yes.
Yes.
We talked about this, Pete. Come on, man.
Yeah, Pete. Come on now.
I don't remember shit. You know. Don't you remember that I don't remember shit?
So Texas
No, I
Chainsaw
don't.
Massacre.
Operation.
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Monsters Inc. are in the same universe.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
our
it's
theory.
all because of the Illuminati. But yeah, that's
Monsters
kinda
Inc.
what
is
we're
in every
working on
universe.
right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
I
fair.
mean, I can
Does
see
have all
You
that.
the
open a
doors.
door,
Yeah, all
it
the
opens
doors.
the possibility to another universe. So
Mm,
That's right.
I can see it.
yeah, that
you could
makes
open one of
sense.
those doors and it's to a Balrog universe. How would you like
Oh
that?
shit!
Yeah,
They don't.
that could be
They
a
only show the
possibility.
good ones. They
Just
don't show the bad
Balrog
ones.
just
Balrog
sitting in the
universe,
office.
like a-
Can you copy this for me?
So as she's gonna leave,
It's
the
on track.
guy in the wheelchair is calling for help. Would you help him?
No,
No,
I fallen and I can't get up.
Ben?
Life alert! Life
Look,
alert! Life alert! We don't get
twice.
signal out here.
twice this cop has not showed up. That I got no time for nobody.
Yep.
Forget it.
Yep.
And he's grabbing Alba's butt the whole time.
He's getting a
Yeah.
handful of cheek, man. He's anchoring that, man. He's
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Bam."
he's like,
yeah.
oh help me. He might as well be. Oh, it's
Good
Yeah.
girl. Like,
But-
I'd have slapped him.
That's his character, and I appreciated that grossness.
It's funny because this is his distraction so that Leatherface can kill Kemper.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's hilarious because, like, how does all this happen and she doesn't hear any of it? So,
That's what I said. It's a
That
big
is
house.
not a big house.
yeah.
It seems like
Not a
it.
big
Like it
house.
has to be a mansion for nobody to hear me yelling.
So,
Right.
yeah,
All
while
the walls are
he's
made of cement.
while he's
Well, where they hide the bones is in the.
Yeah.
Oh, just fill the walls with the
Yeah.
bones.
well, that's
Yeah.
that's the thing is this house is very different from the original. So, like, the original was very much like Ed Gein's house was described,
Yeah.
which is what
Oh,
this movie is, or what the
It was
series
based
is
on,
based
yeah.
on. Which I did not know that when I saw this movie and thought the beginning and the end of this movie was actual footage of a text of this Leatherface guy until probably a couple years later, and I was like, no, read this book. It's about serial killers. And
Did-
then I was like, oh, Ed Gein.
did Larroquette say that this was based on a true story in this movie? Because he did in the
yes,
the
yes,
original.
he does. Yeah, he
Okay,
pretty much
so-
does.
so-
And it says it on the front, on the cover of the
Yeah.
movie and all that stuff. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So in the original, the house had bones all over the place. You know, you could tell
Mhm.
like this was a family of
Leather-
cannibals. Like they didn't
There's a
hide
bone
anything.
throw.
Where this house, they're hiding things very well. So like, you know, because you see Kemper wandering through the house, and the only weird thing to me would be like, yeah, it's dirty, but also there's just pigs just wandering the house.
And Chimkins.
Yeah. So, but it's Texas
They were
in the
cute.
middle of nowhere, so I guess it might not be that surprising.
Well, that's what you do, man. You just have the front to be literally a front. So if
Yeah.
somebody comes over, they see what seems like just an old home that may
Oh.
be dirty.
This movie is so much deeper now than
Yeah.
than I thought it was because
And then,
it's a front. To, yeah. Oh.
I'm just saying,
mind is
man.
blown.
then you go to the
Watch
kitchen.
Pete
You're like,
before
One-
you go in.
I'm the one that usually digs deeper into.
I have never heard
Like,
someone
yeah,
not
yeah.
give a shit as much as Peaches did right there.
that was thick, bro. Just
Also, what's really cool is this house is real. Like you could actually visit this house,
I want to go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, this
and
was
the
another
and the
one
house
too?
from
That
the
was-
original
I
as well.
mean-
Yeah.
I want to quit my job and go travel.
We're gonna go to Texas,
I want to go
Don't
to
go to
all
Texas.
these.
and not to
houses.
Houston.
I don't fucking care
So
where we
you
go.
want to visit the house in Halloween and the Amityville house and the
I want to
Ed
go to
Gein house
Salem.
and-
I want to go. You know,
Let's go hang out.
I want to go everywhere.
Just gonna go in there and shit on their floor like I was here.
At least want to pee in their bathrooms.
That's weird.
That's all I need.
All right.
I've marked my territory.
This
Exactly.
is mine now, bitch.
So the sheriff shows up. The sheriff, in quotation, shows up to the van, and he's wonderful. I
Dude.
just love where he like goes through and he's like, "I'm gonna guess that you got a dead body in that van."
I
Oh,
need the
dude,
big old
this
hole
is
in the
Great
back of the
detective work,
window.
son. Let me
This
tell
is
ya.
my favorite. This is my favorite. Like, this is just Arlie Ermy line. Excuse me, son. You mind getting the fuck out of my way? And like, just go.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell he's not just mad at this kid. He's just like mildly annoyed. But that's just how he is. It's fantastic.
And,
He's
and mildly
so
annoyed
creepy
is
and
more
gross.
terrifying than most people's
Yeah.
anger.
Oh, it's so
It's like-
good. So good.
So he comes up with the idea of wrapping up the body with saran wrap, which is just
this
great.
is an everyday thing for him. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
well, let's wrap her up.
And,
Get your ass over here. I need some
and you
help.
get the-
I've never done this before.
Yeah, and I'm
Let's
getting all
do
the
it this
nasty
way.
comments from him as he, oh, she's still,
She's still wet down
there, and he's
Yeah.
like comping a feel, and
Uh,
I just
and
love.
I also wonder how many different takes they have him just like ripping.
Oh, he
'Cause
100% ad
how
libbed.
he is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how many of them just could hold it during those? Because you just,
Yeah.
You also get the shot where he sees the gun, and they tell him like where the gun came from, and the gun fits perfectly in his holster, which it took me a long time to realize the gun was his.
Yeah,
I just thought he found the gun and was like, oh, I got this holster here. I could just put it in
his
there.
boot, though.
Yeah.
His boot
Was
holster,
it-
yeah.
was it his boot gun or something. Yeah.
It's a backup
It
holster.
fit perfectly.
Yeah, which is funny because I think Pepper looks at one of the other gentlemen because she sees that and somebody else sees it, and she looks at him and like kind of like, this is weird.
Well, that one gal does go like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And no one else catches on.
Yeah.
Which, again, how many red flags do you need in a movie for people to go, peace, I'm out?
Yeah, no shit.
So we then go back to the house where Kemper gets attacked. You get the whole thing where he's wandering in the house. He goes into he hears like a TV going on in a room. And then, of course, it's the perfect drop because there's like a drum scene in this cartoon that's playing on the TV to the point where Leatherface comes up and hits him in the back of the head. I guess this scene was supposed to be a lot more. It was a lot more gory. Like you were supposed to see him get hit in the head, and it was just like an explosion. And yeah,
I like this better. I wouldn't have liked it if there was a blood splatter. This was fast and brutal and in and out, and that was this might be my favorite scene of the whole movie, where that door opens, bam, drags him in, door closes.
See,
I was still on board at this point.
this is where they start to lose me, which is funny because like I think in the original, when the first hammer gets hit and the way you just see the body fall and the leg twitching and then the slow drag, like to me, that's like horror perfection. And like once they did it with this one, how quick it is, the blood splatter on the wall is like, well, all right, let's see where this goes from here. But like, especially after revisiting the original one like 2 months ago, it's like, oh yeah, God, that's it's so shocking and scary. Yeah,
Well, I think
Shocking is the great part.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't mind this scene as much but I think the problem is, like you said, with the original, is I think it's better in the original because the guy just runs up, it opens, it's fucking motherfucker, and he just fucking pows the dude, falls over, twitches a little bit, pulls inside, shuts the door, and it's like almost just one shot. And this
just
like
happens, and you're like,
oh yeah,
and like the leg twitch is such a fine like detail, like.
But like
I think that the original TCM has some of the best acting in a horror movie. Like, we'll get to it with the hook.
That time,
yeah.
But then like in this one, like he hits him, and then there's like the cut, and then there's the other stuff, and he kind of like drags him, and then pulls the door. It just seems it's works, but it's just doesn't seem as intense as the original. It's just so quick and like one thing, like bam, dude falls, drags him inside, shuts the door, and there's like multiple cuts and him dragging him in this one. It just seems longer, drawn out more in this. Yeah. But it's not bad. It's just I think it's done better in the original.
Is he not still twitching though when he pulls him, or was
he
that
does twitch him a little bit, but it's better. I think he does twitch.
No, he twitch. It's not. It's more of he's convulsing like on the ground as he's dragging him to the door.
I thought maybe it was my brain playing trick
No,
because I'm like watching. I was like, he still got the axe in his head? Like, is he pulling him by that, or is he just?
The scene's also
or
very
his hammer?
An axe? I thought it was a
But-
hammer. Okay.
Or hammer, but is he like
a
still
sledgehammer.
pulling him, or was he actually pulling his body? Because I think my
I thought
he was pulling the body. Yeah.
into the
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't dragging him by the.
it would have been kind of
Wasn't a
awesome
claw
if he
hammer.
was.
Oh, like he hits him so hard it's like impaled in him, and he just drags him like that. Yeah. No, I like the
Got
fact
another
he's
one.
just dragging the body with his
That's
hand.
gnarly. I
And of
like
course,
that.
yeah, and of course,
Yeah,
we get the
that's
iconic.
cool.
We get the iconic recreation of the scene from the original where he pulls him into the room and slams the big door. The door in this one is like 10 times the size of the door in the original. The original one's like this small aluminum sliding door, where this one is a vault.
Gotta keep his
Different budgets.
in.
So we go back to the car or to the van where Sheriff Hoyt is taking the body, and I love it. Where it's like, yeah, put it in the back of my car. And they go to put it in the back seat, and then he notices with it, don't put that shit in the back of my car. Put it in the trunk.
But it's what he says before. He's like, "Listen, lady, I got respect. I got enough respect for a dead body of anybody else out here. As much respect for a dead body as anybody else out here. Don't put that disgusting thing in the back of my fucking car. Put it in the trunk.
Don't break any of my shit in the trunk either.
Yeah,
when you're putting it
oh,
there.
dude.
Don't break anything."
I laugh when that line comes up.
That's
Like
great.
back, I always laugh. I think it's fucking great.
So Erin gets back to the van, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the sheriff's coming." And they're like, "Well, he was already here." And then she goes, "Where's Kemper? Is he here?" And I'm like, "How do you just lose him?" Like,
Yeah. How?
so
Buddy system.
of course she's like, "Oh, well, we got to go back and find him." And most of them are like, "Yeah, I don't really want to. This doesn't seem like a good
No,
time."
we don't.
So she eventually talks them into it. They find another like car graveyard where they find teeth. They find a jar full of what I'm guessing is piss, and a picture of the hitchhiker and her family. And they're like, "Well, that's a little sketchy, you know."
This is where the horn is going off, isn't it?
Yeah, the horn's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on.
And he
I
pulls
think
it off
that's
it.
the little kid to lure him to that. Like, hey, there's
Yeah.
something going on here.
There's
Yep.
somebody here.
Like that wouldn't work that way, but okay.
Yeah, it also wouldn't work because there's no battery hooked up. Horns don't work like that. But anyway, that's fine. That was my first thing. I was like, that car does
Logic,
not have
Dan,
working battery.
logic.
I'm sorry, it's just a car from like 55 sitting there, and it's like
It's all about the
18 years
logic
later.
here.
Well, which is actually another thing, which I don't. This isn't for Arlie Ermey's character. I don't think he's a sheriff. I don't know. I've never seen the prequel, and you guys.
No, he's
whatever.
not. He's not.
No,
No,
I-
He's a
he's
I know.
family member that's wearing a sheriff uniform.
Yeah, that's what I figured because his, and not to mention his cruiser is a piece of shit. And like, I know it's a small rural town, but they always usually take care of their cruisers anyway. And that's a 65 Belvedere, so it's at least 8 years old. And even if it was dated, it would still be taken care of. And this thing is just beat up. So,
Yep.
and obviously he doesn't act like a sheriff, but you know.
And the prequel takes place in '69 when he does get the
Nice.
car.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh,
So they go when they split up again. You got two of them going back to the van, and then
We do.
Aaron and Andy go back to the house. And this is where you get another recreation of an iconic shot of the low shot of one of the women walking towards the house.
Yeah.
This time it's on Aaron as she goes to talk to whatever his name is, Monty, and Andy tries to sneak in back and to investigate and try to find where Kemper is. This is when it all hell breaks loose because the guy figures out that Andy's in there, and then of course you get the whole like showdown between them where Andy thinks he's gonna fight Monty, and Monty's just hitting the floor, but what he's actually doing is calling Leatherface, and he just swings that door open. He's got the chainsaw, and yeah, this is where the movie goes from like 50% to like fucking 150. It's just nonstop chaos for the rest of it. And I love it when, he's got the tire iron, he's blocking the chainsaw with that. I thought that was pretty cool.
it's not cool because it's not real. If a chainsaw would hit a tire iron, it would kick right back to the person holding the chainsaw and probably
And we
chopping his arm off or something.
test this.
That one, I hate chainsaws in horror movies because you
What if
never
we
do
test
it
this?
right.
Leatherface is a
Right.
beast. He doesn't let that shit kick back.
No, it doesn't work
Yeah,
like that, man.
No,
This
he's
thing's
just
a
got those
bitch.
broad shoulders that are just like be.
One, a chainsaw never starts in the first pull. Two, you hit
Leatherface
something metal,
do.
the chainsaw's going to bounce right back at you. Period. I don't care how strong you think you are.
Leatherface sleeps with his chainsaw on his bed. Okay, he takes
Yeah,
good care of that
he
thing.
oils
Right,
it.
I'm
He
wrong.
rubs it.
Oil
I will say-
every day.
There-
To doubt the Leatherface abilities.
Well, there actually is a few times in this where he pulls the start his chainsaw and it takes him more than one time to get it going.
You're right. You're right. And even in the Next Generation, the TCM, what we did, there was a couple of great scenes where he was trying to start the chainsaw. it's so unusual to see that.
Yeah.
No, I agree because, like you said, they just
Even,
they don't
even
they
in
care
the
about-
Evil Dead movies, like Bruce Campbell, God bless you, starts that
Just
chainsaw every first pull every goddamn time.
Exactly.
Brand new.
Yeah.
And I still love the hell out of it.
Oh, have any of you guys played the Texas Chainsaw game at all?
Yeah,
Didn't-
it's a lot of
Nate
fun.
has.
So I noticed. I don't know. I've only ever seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this one, and the 2022. Like those are the only ones I've seen, or 2020, whatever it came out.
Watch them all.
Did the element with the chickens and the pigs, like alerting people, did that come from this movie?
That's a good question. I just assumed because it being a farmhouse, that was just something they were wanting to incorporate a gameplay mechanic in.
Yeah, because like if for those of you who don't know, when you play, because you play as either the bad guys or the good guys, and you want and like you could if you're in the Sawyer home, then like
The
if
kids
you,
would be
like people
killers,
going through,
yeah.
they would alert like chickens would make noise. You're like, oh, they're near
Yeah.
the chickens, and then like so like that's what I thought. I was like, is this from the
Because
game?
the game's firmly planned with just the first movie. Like,
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but I thought maybe
do
that
hope
element
that
was
DLC
like, hey.
for part 2 will happen, but yeah, it's definitely strictly the first movie with that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So Andy is running away from Leatherface, and this is the one shot that was really jarring, where he's going through the sheets and just keeps cutting back between him and Leatherface.
Yeah,
And it's just too many times. Like, just focus. I think it would have been better if they just focused on Andy running through and then getting the shot of Leatherface just coming out of nowhere and just chopping his leg off. I think that would have been way
more
better
sense.
than it was just like, okay, you see him, you see him, you see him. I'm like, I feel like I was watching Resident Evil, the final chapter, where I was like, fuck me, man. This
we
is
don't
awful.
talk about that one.
It's,
Because I'm like, where did he come from? Because as many times as it was back and forth, it looked like Leatherface was right behind him.
No, he was standing on the outside of the sheets going, what is he doing? He's just
Why
running
didn't
back.
you just
and
go
forth.
over here?
He just
He's making
casually
the leg
walks in and just
You're making more
That
work
is
for
a
my
that is
mom.
a slasher trope though,
Hello?
where the killer comes out of absolutely nowhere, right?
yeah.
Yep, that is.
Tell me that doesn't happen in every Jason movie.
Yeah.
that
They,
we've
yeah,
ever
this
they
is-
know how to teleport.
Yeah, this is the only, I think,
Yeah.
instance of that when it comes to Leatherface. Because, like,
Yeah,
you feel
yeah.
in this movie, Leatherface is just a man. Like, he is,
Yeah.
Mhm.
he's not
Yeah.
Right.
supernatural in any way.
It's a miserable pile of secrets.
He is a miserable
And of-
pile of secrets.
So he grabs Andy and his now detached leg and drags him to the basement. And you get the nasty close-up shot of his fingernails getting ripped off his hands. Ah! So fucking worse. But of course,
Ain't
it's
that
it's a
bad.
callback to the opening scene where the cop's walking down the basement stairs, and you know he shows the fingernail marks. So it's like, oh well, that's where they came from.
From someone who has fingernails that have actually gotten
Mm.
ripped
Oh, I'm so sorry.
right at the.
Okay, we're gonna keep going with this.
I usually have longer-ish fingernails. And working in retail, I have literally had them ripped under. Yeah,
Oh,
I can feel
Oh.
his pain.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
it sucks.
This podcast just got scarier than the movie.
I know.
for sure. Yeah. It
Hey, I can
roaster.
give you a lot of injuries that I have sustained over
Please don't.
And that's
My-
for another day.
37
Yep.
years of living.
Another
I am very
podcast.
graceful.
Another podcast.
That's
I figured
the
out.
next
I figured out why
episode.
we have 3-hour episodes. It's not our guests. It's Angela.
It's me.
We're shooting for one today, right? 3 hours?
No,
I admit it.
Parker, 3 hours.
Listen, we got to look at the well-being of our guests here, okay?
I have to feed
We're
on
not
my-
well.
I have
got
to feed
drinks,
on
it's good.
Yes.
I haven't been well for a very long time. When did we start this podcast? That's pretty much when my health declined.
Oh damn. Now
That's what we do.
I'm gonna stop
Oh.
talking.
Ouch,
No,
man.
stop it.
I've gone up 3 pant sizes because of this podcast. All right.
Zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket. There we go. That's me.
Okay.
I know.
Fair enough.
Let's take the only female on the show and make her feel bad.
Every time.
Every time.
Out-
Damn.
I'm outnumbered.
It's a total
beautiful,
sausage
babe.
fest, boys.
I need to find. So the sheriff shows up again because Erin comes back and she's freaking out. You know, somebody's attacking her, and so the sheriff shows up, and of course, he's trying to keep them there, so he's got to find something to keep them there. So he finds the roach, and
Somebody's smoking the
Yeah,
gun, smoking
yeah.
the doobie. Like,
I just love that Morgan's back like, it's not mine, man.
We're gonna stand here while you smoke the
This
whole.
this isn't our van. Then why are you in it?
You can smoke 2 pounds of marijuana. I'm going to learn you a lesson.
All I can think of is Super Troopers.
That's exactly it. Mother of God.
Yeah.
So we then see Leatherface packaging up Andy's stump with some salt.
Oh, dude.
Oh.
Yeah. He just
That was-
scoops that
that was
bag of
good.
salt and
That was
just
good. I don't-
And the butcher
No,
paper.
no, 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 no.
Yep.
Oh.
Oh, good.
Yep.
You did that.
So we then go back and Hoyt is looking through the van. He's got the three of them in the dirt, and then he takes Morgan and he interrogates him to pretty much be like, "Hey, how did she do it? How did she kill herself?" And so he's got to go through the whole thing of putting the gun in his mouth and sitting in the exact spot. I don't, the one where you look down, he's like moving like parts of her brain and stuff. And also, when they were shooting this, he like forced himself to throw up like multiple times for putting the gun like too deep in his mouth.
Ew.
Yeah.
Just didn't have that callus built up.
Well,
man. He's gotta
I
work
guess
on
it was
that
also
shit.
just kind of the reaction to get him to like, because he's crying
Dude.
and like sweaty and
He's
going through it.
He sells getting his fucking ass beat in this movie,
Yep.
dude.
Yep.
This dude who plays Morgan, like he is like through the shit emotionally and physically.
I think the great thing about like Arlie Ermey's performance is the fact that he's so like he's not yelling at him all the time. He's like just asking him questions, but like it's terrifying even when he's calmly doing it.
Intimidating.
Yeah, and then like when he doesn't do it, that's when he like put the gun in your fucking mouth type
he has
thing, and you're like, oh,
He has a presence to him that
Yeah.
is that you can't. No matter what you say to this guy, he's got something coming back to you. So he just
For
beats you
me,
down to a
It's
degree
when
that
he's
you
got
can't recover from.
all three of them on the ground and just like the snot that's in the dirt
yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
crying. Especially, I think it's Pepper, whatever her name is, like
Pepper.
the middle girl.
Yeah.
Like she, like the shots of her just crying. It's like, ew, this
Mhm.
is
Quite good.
uncomfortable.
It's really good acting, which is shocking for a movie like this where you don't get like the best performances because they're usually just the cannon fodder.
Yeah, like,
except
these
for
guys are
like
assholes. I hate these
except for
people.
if it was like the final girl is usually your best performer. But to be honest, I feel like the performances in this movie are actually really good.
Secondary characters act better than the
Yeah.
the main characters.
In some movies. But
I'm
no, I
talking
agree.
about this movie.
Oh.
Yeah, I think yeah, whoever did
Oh
the
yes,
lady
if we're
that-
talking about Aaron compared to everybody else,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
yes.
Aaron was the looker. All right, Aaron was the one you were just looking at most of the time.
I liked looking at Aaron.
Yes.
Just didn't appreciate that. Please continue.
So we're
We're
we're back at the house, and this is where we see Leatherface doing like sewing up a new face, and then that's how you determine that Kemper is fully dead because he's sewing up his face, and
He's
this
even got the little chin,
the little hair down there, yeah,
little hair on the chin there.
and this is the first time you see Leatherface's actual face in any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, which in the original, in the beginning, you find out. Well, you find it out in this movie too. The fact that he has a skin disease, but in the beginning, he is born, and of course, he's like because he has this disease, he doesn't look very pleasant, and so he's kind of abandoned at the meat factory you see later.
Mhm.
And so the Hewitts take him in, so he's technically not their actual child. So
Dude, listen, the only thing I thought of is if the ladies can't find you handsome, they can at least find you handy. And he is. He can
That's very
sew,
true.
He can,
He can
chop
sew
up meat
skin.
and shit. He knows what he's doing.
He's
He's
a
a
Yeah.
resourceful man.
well, that's the thing
Now,
is
to me-
he grows up working in that meat factory, and that's
That's
why
what
he's
I
so
thought.
handy. Yeah,
That's what I thought, because there's scenes later. I was like, there's no fucking way he'd know about this stuff unless he's worked at this factory. That makes
He knows how to
sense.
cut a ribeye beautifully. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's
But,
right.
like,
Good mark.
I don't know. The mystery of never seeing his face is what I like. And then they show his face. I'm like, oh, like he just looks like Skeletor.
Come on, Beast Man!
So I forgot to mention that Morgan gets taken away by the sheriff. So we then see the sheriff with Morgan in the back, and they're talking like, hey, where were you going? Where were you? It was like Dallas. We're going to a front row at a Skinner concert. He's like, oh, well, that sucks. You ain't going to that now. And he's like, what are you gonna do with those tickets? He's like, oh, you can have them. And then he just takes the bottle of liquor and just smashes him in the face.
Yeah.
Oh man,
He's like, oh,
that was rude, wasn't it?
yeah. He's just spitting out tea.
Totally.
Oh, dude, it was so good, man.
Yeah.
And he never yelled. Not a once. He just turns around and fucking cracks him with that bottle.
Oh, I also forgot to mention that when he's demonstrating how the girl, kills herself, he turns the gun on the sheriff, and he was gonna shoot him, and he pulls the trigger. There's nothing in there.
We all wanted that to happen.
Oh yeah, we were all pepper. We were all pepper. Don't shoot him
away. Just turn around and shoot the motherfucker.
Yeah.
And guess what? No more bullets.
Yep. And then I was like, looks like we got a goddamn killer on our hands.
Mhm.
Well, given the situation, I mean, you don't know any of these people's background, and it's dark in there, and like you really can't tell what's in those chambers. Like, are the rounds shot?
Also, he's in
rounds
such
it at all?
distress.
Exactly.
I don't think he was looking at that like, all right, I see three in the chamber there. Yeah.
Does he know anything about guns?
Exactly.
He just knows he has one.
Yeah, that's
And he's
Yeah.
the way it's shot too. Is we as the audience don't really know if there's any
Exactly.
ammo in there either.
Yeah.
you totally
It's in shadow. But one of the coolest things I saw in that one scene was while I'm paying attention to that, it would flip and show Arlie Ermey's face. His eyes are almost black at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's this very dark, gritty part. This, just insane. And Aaron and everyone yelling in the background. The tension just gets built and built and built.
Yeah.
And yet again, something else to blame Aaron on is don't shoot him. And everyone else is there like, we're shoot him.
Yeah.
Shoot him now. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, son of a
And
bitch.
once again, she's like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Because her decision making, it's like she thought he was the actual sheriff, and like they were just going to get in more trouble. It's like, what has he done to really
dumb.
put that signal in your head that like that this seems legit.
This
seems
is normal sheriff stuff.
Yeah, what? Like I understand you're in a back road town with usually one. I grew up in a town similar to this where there was one cop, and he probably wasn't even full time. Like he was just there if there was an emergency. So it's understandable that maybe things can happen that no one's ever going to find out about.
Country justice.
Yeah, but it's like, come on, man. Like
How
this
many
dude
red
just wrapped a
flags
body
do you
up in
need?
freaking
so
saran
many
wrap.
red flags.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like there's so many red flags that are
it's tough.
this guy throws up. It's like, no, bye.
Smacking you in the face left and right. And I don't remember the original being so red flaggy.
No.
Is that a word? I don't
No.
know. I think
yeah.
I think they got dropped into this situation and they couldn't get out, where these kids had multiple opportunities to get the hell out of Dodge.
In a
before
Dodge,
any of this
ironically.
happened. Yes.
Carry on. I'm sorry. It's an old Dodge flat nose. I'm sorry. I noticed that.
Right. That's like you had ample opportunity, and I understand that if you get out of Dodge, you don't have a movie. I totally get that. But when it's so very easy to say, don't go upstairs, leave the front house, go out the front door and run to your neighbors or something like that. This was so frustrating because once again, you had enough opportunity to get out of there, and they neglected to do that. They listened to some ding dong.
To Aaron's credit, though, before the sheriff showed up, she was trying to start that van and get. Like she was literally trying to just be like, "We're getting out of here. We'll figure it out after the fact."
I will also. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Charlie. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that for every option that they've had to leave, yes, they had 100 of them, it seems. But there was a point where she was like, "Fuck it, we got to go." There's we'll figure this out later.
Yeah, and Morgan even tried to leave earlier, and she wouldn't give him the keys.
Right?
Yeah, she had them in a pocket and everything.
When they went to the graveyard, the
Yeah.
car graveyard.
She knew 100% they were going to leave. And to be honest, I wouldn't have blamed him. Like you were making the most
Sorry.
illogical decisions ever.
Mhm.
Like, we'll maybe come back if we can get some help and try to see what's going on. But like, to be honest, I don't want to die. Like, I feel like we're just going down a dark path. Like, Morgan knew what was going to happen before it happened.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, because there's a part to this movie that they eliminated, was the fact that Aaron was supposed to be pregnant.
Yeah.
Because her and Kemper had been together for 3 years.
Oh.
So if that had been left in, I would have probably been more understandable of her reluctance to just cut bait and leave.
Abandon her baby daddy.
Exactly. Abandon the guy because all we
Okay,
get in
sure.
this is that he was going to propose to her. That's our only
Right, we saw that.
emotional connection
Yep.
to the two of them. But had they left that fact, because she says, she doesn't smoke the weed, she didn't drink the water in Mexico, that would have been just something
think
good,
about
just
that.
a little thing to throw left in
Yeah.
there to say she was
Mhm.
pregnant this whole time, and this is, she's being protective of Kemper, and she's trying to protect everyone else too, but it just seems like her decisions are the reason why
That's
90% of this shit's happening.
that's also a little unrealistic in the 70s. Like, they still smoked and drank when they were pregnant. I'm
Yeah, that's
sorry.
very true.
Yeah.
No, I
People
mean,
don't give a shit.
not all of them, but I'm sure a lot of them did. But they're also
Yeah,
trying
I
to
get the
paint her off
vast
as
majority did.
Yeah.
but
There's
they're
no
painting her off
repercussions.
as the innocent in this one. The final girl has to be the innocent one,
Agreed.
so she has to be the one that didn't partake in any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's just they could have done it a little bit better.
This just made me realize that means he was going to propose like maybe during the middle of the bitchin'
At the
guitar
Leonard
solo in
Skinner
Freebird.
concert.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah, that's the best
Yeah.
This is
time.
the most romantic thing ever, baby. You know what? Simple Man's playing. I want you to be my simple man.
I'm gonna be your simple man. That's what.
One of these days,
Oh,
I'll
that's
tell
what
you
it
how
is.
I
That's what it
proposed to
is.
my wife. So it's hilarious, but I won't tonight.
Oh man. So
Where are we in this movie?
we're getting there. So Aaron gets since they left, Aaron and Pepper are alone, and
Yeah.
so Aaron hotwires the van to leave, but when they start to drive away, all the tires just fall off and they crash.
Yep.
And
yeah.
of course,
That's right.
the sheriff called to send Leatherface to them. So of course he shows up at that time to attack, and this thing is he's able to chainsaw through this van like it's nothing.
Yep.
I love it. My wife, it's so much fun watching these movies with my wife because she points out the things that they make me laugh. Like, she's laughing this entire scene because she's like, it's really able to do that so easily. But then you get to a later scene where he can barely cut through something that seems easier to cut with a chainsaw.
Like a wooden door.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
like,
right?
why is
Or
this?
that-
Or
or
like a
that-
couch. They move a couch in front of
Yeah.
a door. It's like,
Butter on the table. Yeah.
so
The consistency of matter doesn't really work in this movie. Chainsaw doesn't cut through some metals, but others. But yet it'll slice through a leg with no give.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Quick.
And
and
then
easily.
she can slice an arm off later that never even got through the bone.
Yeah.
It's just like, whoop, oh, his arm's gone now.
yeah, three hacks with a butcher knife and bye.
That's all it takes.
Exactly.
She hit that one spot where the bone just wasn't connected to the other.
Yep.
It was an
Oh.
old break he had. It
Yeah.
never healed right.
Yeah.
Damn it, woman. My one weakness. And it just
Oh no, not a kitchen knife.
It's just like the scene from
How
Monty,
did you know?
from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The scene where the knight loses all of his
Oh
limbs.
yeah,
Where it's just like,
I've had
bam,
worse.
it's just one touch and like
Flesh
the arm
wound,
falls off.
yes.
Yeah.
his butt a scratch.
Yes.
So yeah, they get attacked by Leatherface. Pepper gets killed. I do like the shot where the headlights are shining on him, and she's wearing like a jacket filled with feathers. So when he kills her, the feathers explode, and then he turns and
Is that what
he's wearing wearing Kemper's face. I
Yeah.
really wanted a better reaction from her because I don't know, like her reaction just seemed like she was just terrified and not just the fact that like she sees her boyfriend's face
Like
on
she took like
his.
2 seconds to think about it.
That was so disappointing.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
maybe she was thinking that her
that's
boyfriend
clearly
was
your
killing their
boyfriend's
friends.
face.
But also, he wears, when we first meet Leatherface, he wears his, the Leatherface mask, and then he switches to this one, and this is the only scene he wears it in. He goes back to his OG mask for the rest of the movie.
Maybe he didn't think it was this
properly
good.
in that one.
Yeah, he couldn't breathe. He's like, I forgot to slit the hole in the mouth.
He wasn't feeling it. Like,
You don't have to worry about
I don't like this one.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry
Too
about shaving
pretty.
twice.
He's like,
Right.
I'm way too pretty now. I
Like-
can't do this.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
forgot,
Too
he forgot to
distracting.
put the lotion on the skin.
He did. Try it out.
Another character based on Ed Gein.
Uh-huh.
True.
Mhm. So Erin, of course, is all alone now. She is the final girl. And she runs through the woods and she finds a trailer who has 2 people, Henrietta, a sickly woman, and the tea lady, which is literally what her name is in the credits. And, they're pretending to be helpful. There's a baby there also. And Erin finds out that the baby is not theirs. It is taken from a family that, I'm guessing, disappeared and were killed by Leatherface and the family.
Victim of the Sawyer family. Or
Or the Hewitts. Yep.
not Sawyer. Thank you.
You get the whole thing where she has to use a phone. They say they don't have one, but then she finds out they do because Henrietta's calling, I'm guessing, the grandmother, who is the woman from the general store from earlier.
Yeah.
And she gets drugged from the tea. And she wakes
Don't
up.
drink the.
Yeah, don't drink the tea. She was like forcing it in her mouth, though. She's like, drink the fucking tea. Come on, put it in your mouth. And she wakes up and she is. I was expecting the dinner scene from the original. I thought they were going to remake the dinner scene
That's what I
from
thought
the
was going to
original,
happen.
but we didn't. We
Mhm.
just got her in the living room and you got Sheriff Hoyt, no pants on, just sitting there pouring beer in her unconscious mouth.
It's been a long day of work. You
Yeah.
don't wear pants after a long day of work.
I'm not wearing pants now.
And you
Same.
Yeah. You kind of find out who everybody is in this family. So the woman at the general
Good.
store, as we
Yep.
stated, is the mother of Sheriff Hoyt and Leatherface, who is named Thomas. And then you have Uncle Monty. And then you got Jedediah, who I don't know. He's a grandson.
clue.
Because he comes like, Grandma, can I come in now? It's my favorite thing because it reminds me of Talladega Nights. Shut up, Grandpa.
You'll sleep out there with the dogs until you learn to play along.
Scissor kick you in the back of the head, Chip.
To be honest, it reminds me of that scene from Holes. Was it the little girl?
That's a good movie.
The little girl who like yells at her grandpa. That's too goddamn bad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm tired of digging, Grandpa.
So she is dragged to she's thrown in the basement. She finds Andy there. He's hanging from the meat hook. And of course, they got to make it very eerie because he's got his toes playing on the piano. And she's trying to get him off the hook. She can't. And so he's like, well, you got to end it. And so she gets a knife and she stabs him in the stomach.
The
Yeah.
slowest way to kill
Yeah.
someone. The slowest
Slow.
way to
Let's
kill
make
someone.
this the worst
painful
painful death ever.
And personal.
We're going to try to lift you off the meat hook and then let the meat hook dig further into your back. And then I'm just going to stab you in the stomach.
Yeah.
That
I'm
happens
a terrible
twice
friend.
because he tries to get himself off the meat hook,
Yeah.
and then it happens, and then she does it. He's like, stop, dude, just fucking stop,
Concerned as to why she didn't just climb on the back of the piano
and try to lift him up that way.
and lift him up that way.
And then just like
I
she
mean,
goes
it's a
around
good
back.
piano.
I'm gonna lift you. What's his name? Andy.
Because this
Yeah.
movie is stupid.
So she,
That's why she didn't do that.
so she gets around the back. It's like, I'm gonna help you lift him up and like get you off the weight. But when she does, she gets him off. She like grabs him around the waist, right, and starts lifting and gets the hook
Gets him
out of
off.
his back, and then fucking suplexes him off
I
the
was
back
gonna
of the
say, we got
piano.
this suplex
Just
in here.
Yeah.
fucking dunzo, and the movie just ends.
She gets up
He
in his
would've
face.
just been-
Yes.
Wait.
Leatherface walks in. He's just like,
He comes in with the fucking chair. Boom, Leatherface and shit. He's like,
no, he just comes in. He's just like,
object.
he's just like mad respect, like palms her up and just lets her leave, and that's the end. That just reminds me of one of the later Texas Chainsaw Massacres. Go get him, cuz. And I'm like, what is this movie? Oh man. So she finds Morgan, and he looks like he just got off a meat hook because he's got a hole in his back. So I'm guessing that's what it was from.
Yeah.
And he's in rough shape. So she drags him out of there. Leatherface is watching on. Kind of reminds me of the remake of Psycho. Like, I'm wondering what he's doing to himself as he's watching on. I'm like, hopefully not that.
Do you think, because when Erin got thrown downstairs to begin with, she was being unruly, and the mom hollered for Thomas. Yeah, Leatherface. Do you think he was in the middle of processing him and he had to stop because he's just sitting in the tub? And
Yeah,
that's where
he took.
That's where he took care of other dude, chiseled motherfucker from the beginning.
That's a nice way to say I'm chopping up a dude to make meat out of him.
I'm just saying. I mean,
So I think
I'm trying to be polite.
So Leatherface in this movie is a little inconsistent. So he in the original
more.
Here I go. Well, in the original, he is very shy, and he's afraid of everybody in the family. Like, in the original, I think it's his brother, right?
Yeah,
Who
it's
is like the
two
one who's
brothers,
always like threatening
Brother
to beat
and
him up, and
uncle.
he like cowers all the time. And even when he is Leatherface doing the Leatherface things, like chasing people around with chainsaws, he doesn't seem as brooding. Like, he's scary, but he's not as. I feel like his confidence is like at an all-time high in this one, where like he is walking around like his chest is out, he's got that chainsaw, and he is confident. He's like, I will fuck anybody up, even my family. But then there's the scene where you meet the entire family after Erin wakes up, and he's cowering behind the wall as she's talking about him, because she's talking about how the fact that like he's been bullied all his life, and nobody treats my Thomas very good, fuck everybody, and he's over there like.
It's probably one of those things where it's like, hey, you don't fuck with anybody in your family, but you do anything possible to protect the family, or you do what the family says, kind of thing. It's all indoctrination anyway. It's just how you're raised,
Right. And it's also the family's probably the ones that are the biggest bullies to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Directly. Even though they speak of family and protect one another, they're probably the biggest abusers mentally to him.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I agree. I think it's totally inconsistent with how he's depicted throughout most of the movie. Then all of a sudden, we got to get this childlike version of him.
Exactly.
To me, it doesn't work that great. Yeah,
and I think the problem is
he wasn't childlike at the beginning of the movie, and he reverts, or it's just all of a sudden that side of his personality comes out. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. And I wonder if whether it includes what is it, Jediah or whatever that kid's name is,
Jedediah.
whatever. Yeah,
Jedediah.
Yeah, like just take him out, because he's supposed to be like the abused little kid, and just put that back into Leatherface, because that's what he's supposed to be.
Right. Make indoctrinate and
like just abuse.
But you need
like
that.
I like that a lot.
You need that plot device of how she gets out of the house. How who's the one that helps her get away instead of just so happening finding a door. Even though it's a little janky the way they do it with Jedediah, because it's like this. This is like the second or third person he's helped escape. Because they say, he helped that last girl escape. That's why he's not allowed to come inside. He's not allowed to play anymore. And now he's just let technically two get away again. It's like, well, be a little more consistent in your character development.
Right. Part of the Leatherface monster is that he has. So Dracula has a weakness. So does Frankenstein to a degree. So do a lot of monsters. And unlike Jason, and maybe unlike Michael Myers, Leatherface he's a child overall. And if you can play on that is his weakness, and you can escape from him if you can leverage that childlike personality in him. And that's his weakness. I mean, he's human. He's not supernatural at all whatsoever. You can kill him with a shotgun if you had one at that point. But to distract him enough so that you can escape, you can play on his infantile brain, or however you want to describe it. His I don't have words for it, but that is his weakness. That makes monsters real to me. Where you have a silver bullet or a cross or daylight, or if it is an unstoppable monster, I get to check out because I don't. It's not real enough to me. But with Leatherface, in the early goings on, you could appease his youthfulness, his undeveloped brain, and get away from him. And now I've just lost all of what I was going to talk
I think what you're trying to say is that Leatherface
about. Have another beer.
and-
Hang on.
and Robin Williams from Jack have a lot in common.
Wow, what a connection.
There you go.
That's
Whoa.
what you're going for, right?
Wow.
Well, what happened?
I like a weakness in my monsters. I like there to be like with zombies. There is no weakness in a zombie. They just
shoot
they're
it in
just
the
gonna
head.
come and
Yeah,
it's
and
gonna
fire.
eat everything in the.
No, the
What-
brain.
I'm sorry.
Get rid of it. That's how you
Shoot it in the
that's not
head.
weakness.
Have you
Yeah.
not seen Return of the
Yeah.
Living Dead? That
This
doesn't
guy-
matter.
He would not survive a zombie apocalypse. All we're learning right now. Doesn't know how to shoot him in the head.
Bonk him on the head.
All
Yeah.
I'm saying is I really liked that you could have talked to Leatherface and tried to get away from him, and you might have succeeded if you didn't have backup with the family.
Well, that's what they did in part 2. That's I forget
Yeah.
the girl's name,
Yep.
the disc jockey. She plays into that. She does it more on the sexual side. But
Oh, right.
yeah, but it's still kind of the same concept of tapping into that psyche that he has, and that is kind of his only weakness. It's just this movie isn't smart enough to do that.
No, it doesn't play into that
Bingo.
weakness. It doesn't play. The thing that we see in the original, and to your point, is the fact that like Leatherface is a child. He is a big child. He is, he has some sort of,
His brain is underdeveloped.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
he has those childlike tendencies. But yeah, he is still this massive hulking man who can murder people. Where this one doesn't play into
Just
it because
like
you
Robin
don't.
Williams.
Yeah, yes, in Jack.
Yes.
He murders people. I'm sorry.
No, but he tries to get in with Jennifer Lopez, and who wouldn't want to do that?
I mean, not forcibly, but
No,
if I had an opportunity,
Angela, don't lie.
She's casually drinking here and just gets
Angela
pulled in
is
this
Oh
checked
no, I
out
saw
here.
her raise her hand.
He
Like-
said, "Don't lie."
Like not me,
No.
oh,
but no. This Leatherface just seems a lot smarter. Like you can tell, especially when that scene we're getting into the fact that when she runs into the meatpacking plant and they're playing that cat and mouse game, and she's hiding in the lockers, and like he's not stupid. Like he's
I don't think he's consistently smart or stupid though
yeah.
in this movie.
I just don't see. I think one of my biggest complaints is the fact that you don't really see enough of him with his family, enough of an interaction with
Fair.
them. You get this. I don't even think the only like true interaction is like when Uncle Monty calls him from his room when he's
Yeah.
confronting Andy. Like that's about it. You don't really
Right.
see in the beginning. You do see more of that family dynamic of Thomas and the rest of the family kind of working together to then set up for this movie. But this Leatherface is very different than the Leatherface we see in the original.
And this is the analog. I'm going to use a couple analogies for this for folks that have not seen the original, but maybe more into modern horror content. And you guys may follow along with this. Of course, you get the dinner scene in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which kind of illustrates where people stand. Leatherface in the makeup and all that stuff, acting like the female role as well.
Patriarchy, yeah.
Yes, but then this also makes me think of the dinner scene in the beginning of Resident Evil 7. For those of you that have played those games. Where have you played Resident Evil 7?
I did play the beginning part, and I got scared.
Yeah, it's when you get dude, it's fucking creepy as shit.
I got scared.
It's during like where you're forced to eat the food, with the bakers, and then like it's the mom and the dad talking and the shit ass kid arguing. He fucking stabs that thing through his hand and shit. It's that whole thing where you get dynamic of these characters, how they interact. They're not just bad guys and doing stuff. They actually have a dynamic of how they act, and like you said, sets the hierarchy. But Resident Evil 8 does the same thing. Have you ever played Resident Evil 8? Anybody here?
Have it.
No.
Dude, there's a great scene where all the villains are fucking together, and it just sets this wonderful hierarchy, and it's one of my favorite scenes in a Resident Evil game, and that's what this is missing. This movie is missing.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
sets up the totem pole, man. It's
To
fucking
me,
awesome.
like this movie uses too much Leatherface compared to the original.
Yeah.
Like,
Once you
where the
get
original
to
puts so much focus on the family.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of a side character. He's just so
The
memorable.
family is so important to the story. Where
It's why the
it
2022
shouldn't be
didn't work.
just about Leatherface. It's about the whole the terror is the
whole
scary
shish
is the
kebab.
family. Right. It's not just dude. It's the whole family.
Yeah. So Jedediah helps him escape. They find a little cabin in the woods and they hide from Leatherface, and he finds them, and Morgan sacrifices himself to save her. This scene was
Why is
also
this-
supposed to be a lot more gory. You were supposed to see like the whole part of him actually cutting up from his crotch throughout his
Just
entire
all out.
body. Yeah.
Terrifier 1, right?
Yeah.
And like, why is this? Okay, I get it. Like, I'm not in this situation, but I hate this in movies. This is again Jurassic Park: Lost World, the snake thing. Why is it when you're facing imminent death and going to die, and you're concerned about the fucking rats around you? Why is right?
I don't
rats.
know.
This animal that's a minor inconvenience, but I have another human that's fairly intelligent that will fucking kill me. Like I said, this is what I'm a huge, I get fears. I have dumb, irrational fears, but I love spiders and insects and stuff like that. Love them to death. And it just, like, people are like, oh, God, the spider, this is so scary. I'm like, oh, that thing, that minor inconvenience, that 99% will do nothing to you, but you'll fucking crush it and end its life, but you're concerned about that? Like, that's what bothers me. Like, I'm scared of rats. Mouse touches me. Like, what if a mouse touches you? You're just going to kill it. How is that a fair trade? But you're like, I'm not concerned about this man with this chainsaw because there's a fucking rodent on me. Oh,
Would you keep
Christ.
yourself away from passing out from not breathing when these are good sized rats.
I know it's supposed to add, and rats don't bother me either.
I
And
would hold my breath until I literally passed out and I'd have given myself away.
there you go. But I'm the guy that's like, I don't like heights. Like, I get up too far on a ladder, and I'm like, I'm concerned. And like, people are like, you fucking pussy. And like, I'm just sorry. I get it. But anyway, I just hate stuff like this in
It's
movies.
not the height that's the problem, it's the fall at the end.
It's like,
It's not even the fall; it's the landing.
yeah. Just
The
leave it-
sudden stop at
just-
the bottom.
I'll
It
just use
doesn't
my.
stop.
Don't worry, guys. My neck will break my fall. It's fine.
Yeah.
So Leatherface chases her, and they are going through like a barbed wire fence, and he trips and slices his leg open. A
I
callback
love
to the
that.
original.
I'll,
The only,
Yep.
yeah,
I'll
it's
be with you,
cool,
yeah.
but he don't limp at all. He's moving around pretty good for the rest of the
Walks
movie.
it off.
Like he doesn't just almost cut his leg off, but he gets into the meatpacking plant.
Sever a major artery,
Yeah, they go into the meatpacking plant. They have their cat and mouse game. She hides in a locker. Well, actually, we go into the meat locker first, which most of the meat locker actually had actual cow carcasses because they couldn't afford to make them all on purpose. Like
Oh,
make them all
really?
at practical is what I meant to say.
Oh, that
And-
was all like real.
Like there were a
meat.
lot of them was actual like cow carcasses. Yeah,
Well-
and
Wow.
I guess
cool.
Jessica Biel is a longtime vegan,
Oh,
so I guess it was really rough for her.
I
Yeah.
I will
believe it.
Just
Yep.
have to turn to the face that she faces, the little cow face, and be like, "Hello."
So,
They don't have faces at that time.
well, there was the ones that were
The
hanging up
one
that had
did.
heads. There was a few that were just like heads. They haven't
Oh,
crossed
I
them.
missed that. Okay.
They're
But
just like-
but see, okay. Speaking of people not walking with injuries, right? So we're talking about Leatherface not
Yeah.
not showing like issues having cut his leg. Well, fucking lady at the beginning, she had a fairly good sized revolver stuffed in her human creation station. And nobody said nothing about that. So like she didn't have like an odd gait about it.
We
It's a
gotta
reference to-
rewatch
She
the
was-
scene where
she
she's
was
walking down the
walk-
street and she's like walking.
I
Like,
watched
Yeah,
her.
like
I
she's
was
got
like,
a weird walk, and she's
I-
like, I
she
can't
didn't.
sneeze.
I swear, I was like, Well,
sneeze.
you can't sneeze. You're either gonna drop the gun or shit your pants. It's one of the two.
Also, there's a scene where
Or
Aaron
shoot yourself from there.
Just coming out.
Yeah,
There's
just get all three. Of them.
There's also a scene where Aaron falls from a pretty high like distance, and she like falls and like hurts her leg, and she's like grabbing at her leg and like and then immediately gets up and just runs.
I'm good.
Fine, yeah,
All right.
It's fine.
Okay, cool.
Walk it off.
Adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
It
man.
really is.
This is true. This is true.
I know
So-
that for a fact.
She hides in the locker, and this is where you get like the him checking all the lockers, and he thinks he knows where she is, but he opens it up and it's a pig, and she
Where's
comes
Lord?
out with her her butcher knife and just
Little meat cleaver.
in the most like she's not even full swing. She's just this is her motion right now.
It's embarrassingly girly is what she's doing. I mean, there is no girl in the world that wouldn't roundhouse whack this dude.
Yeah.
But she's like,
Yeah, I agree.
I even with the very mediocre hits to his arm, I love Leatherface's reaction to his arm being chopped off, like him screaming and then him trying to pick up his arm as it's spinning around with the
Yes,
chainsaw.
That's the one part I like. I mean,
that's pretty cool.
movie- Yeah.
And then
And to God, that's pretty cool.
and then instead of him continuing, like he's done. He just
falls over.
over and he's literally holding his other arm and he's just whimpering. And
Doesn't
you're
glue
like,
back in.
and
miss
you're
you
like,
so
this
much.
is it. Is this this was my job was my life's work was sewing faces. Now I can't. I only have one arm. I'm gonna have to
Hey,
learn
you-
how to drum like the drummer of Def Leppard now.
You'll figure it out.
You can
You
still
still
sew
play
with
drums
one
if you're
hand.
Def Leppard.
Yeah, you can. Yep. So she then goes back to the road, and we kind of get a recreation of the final scene of the original, where a truck driver pulls up, finds her, and of course she's very much like the hitchhiker from the beginning, where he's asking her questions and she's just kind of mumbling, or she's just like, I got to get away. I just want to go home. And then of course he drives into the town, and she freaks out and almost crashes the truck, but he stops right in front of the general store where the sheriff, the mom or the grandma, Henrietta, and the baby are. I don't know why they're here. I was kind of confused why they all just decided,
Family gathering.
let's go hang out at the general store, okay? And so she runs out, and he goes in there to tell, like, oh yeah, I picked up this woman. She seemed in distress. I just, can you check it out? So the sheriff goes out there, and you kind of get the, like, where is she right now? Because it looks like she's in the truck. And so the sheriff's slowly going up to the truck to see, but she's not. She's actually hot wiring his police car, and she also stole the baby. And she fucks Sheriff Hoyt up. She runs him over like 3 or 4 times.
Dude, it's fucking great,
done.
dude.
And
It's very satisfying.
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
yes,
I'm like,
he
that
is
feels
that
good.
character you wanted to see die more than anyone else in this movie, even more than Leatherface.
Even though Leatherface is the villain, like I never thought man, I can't wait till Leatherface dies.
When you watch this
Like, I'm
movie,
not like-
Leatherface to me never was the number one villain. It was always Sheriff Hoyt. Sheriff
always
Hoyt
Sheriff
was
Hoyt,
the
yeah.
mastermind behind everything that happened, in my opinion. I feel like the grandma probably was, but Sheriff Hoyt was the mastermind.
Brilliant
and-
casting on their point.
Oh,
though.
absolutely.
yeah. Oh God, yeah.
And to be honest, he is I feel a good reason to check out the prequel, because he does
Honestly,
return,
yeah.
So.
All right.
And
Not going to do it.
it's fine. You're not going to get much out of it. It's just kind of how everybody gets shit.
Uh,
So, yeah, she drives down the road, and you get the one final hoorah from Leatherface as he swings his one arm around and, hits the side of the car. And
I think it was
Oh,
funny. He had
the
swung his
Uchi, yeah.
arm,
Yeah.
grabs his arm attached to the other chainsaw, and like swings it. He's clearly holding his arm, holding
Right.
the other chainsaw.
He couldn't
Now-
get the fingers
Now I'm down
loose.
for that movie.
Yeah.
Grabbed it. Yeah.
And I can't wait till they do a sequel to this, like they did. Eventually, they'll do one. It's gonna be a long time from now. It's gonna be a sequel to this, directly to this movie, like they did the first one. Where the second one to that was kind of a comedy, but this is gonna be a horror musical, and it's gonna be.
they're doing it with
Can't even
Joker.
do two snaps. He has to do one.
I might
Yeah,
be
exactly.
down with that.
Yeah,
It's a robot arm because that one was cut
ACM, the
off.
musical. Yeah, I'm down with
Even
it.
no, it's gonna be a love story, and it's like even leather can find love.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the tagline.
Rock opera.
He's just gonna date his sister because he's in Texas.
No
I don't know.
dialogue, just singing.
The
Darnell
final
hated
the final scene of this movie.
He's never hated anything in his life.
It's just a Texas Phantom of the Opera. That's all it is.
So the final shot of this movie is the end of the black and white police video that you see in the beginning, where the cop goes down and investigates, and then he ends up getting attacked by Leatherface. And then it shows like their funeral and all that, and the fact that they never found him. They never found Leatherface. And yeah, that's it. That is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. Yes, Dan?
I'm gonna raise my hand because I literally just had a huge epiphany moment. Talking about Phantom of the Opera in Texas. Is there a movie called Phantom of the Opry? Is that a
No.
thing?
There is a movie called
The Grand
isn't
Ole
it like the
Opry is
Phantom
not
of the
in
Mall?
Texas.
Yeah, but we've already had all these. How come there's
No.
not like a country music based Phantom of the Opera?
Grand Ole Opry's in Tennessee.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be in Texas. It just hit me. It could be anywhere.
the
Why
Grand
isn't
Ole
there a
Opry,
Phantom of the?
sure.
Yeah. Why isn't that a thing? So I'm gonna use that idea. Just give me credit. Like I don't want any money. Just like, hey, that guy gave the idea. Like that's all I want.
Bad ideas.
I think it's a good idea.
All right.
There was
not gonna
a
watch
TV
it,
show
but-
It's the
from
sequel to Bubba Hotep. Is the
Sure,
band of
why
the
not?
Grand Ole Opry.
Please.
You could,
I don't even like. I'm not sorry. I don't listen to country music. It's not my music. But I just seems like an idea. Well, I know we have bad CGI shark or fucking house shark or sand shark or
Yeah,
Like,
why
House
can't we
Shark-
have this?
House Shark
Exactly.
didn't suck. Let me tell you, Ouija Shark sucked. Sharkula sucked.
Sharkula, yes,
No,
thank you.
no,
That was bad.
Arkansas.
Oh yeah,
Arkansas.
Sharkensaw Women's Prison Massacre, baby.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. Well, I didn't.
We covered it.
It's directed by the guy
You're
who
welcome.
directed Chopping Mall.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
Oh, I don't totally need to see it. I'm embarrassed that I haven't.
Well, I
seen
hate
it.
to bust bubbles
Hey.
here, but there was a Phantom of the Opry
Shit.
TV series in 1983 through
In Nashville.
1985
Damn it.
Yep.
Remake it.
in Nashville, so it was Tennessee. But yeah, apparently there is a whole thing about Phantom of the Opry.
Well, thank you for
So-
finding that out. I
Didn't,
appreciate it.
Star, what's her face?
Dolly Parton,
Dolly Parton, yeah.
maybe.
Well, don't see any pictures of Dolly. This is still fairly early, but
She at worst she needs to make an appearance in Phantom of the Opry.
Please make it happen. They've got an
All
Opry in
Like-
Pigeon Forge. They can just do it over there, and she
that's
can
right.
bring her in.
With a special guest appearance from Elvira. That would be awesome. Get the two of them
Absolutely.
on stage
Exactly.
Yeah,
together.
there we go.
I love you,
All
Cassandra
the
Peterson,
boobies.
with all my heart and soul. All the boobies,
All of them.
because everybody loves boobies. Hey, where are we going tonight?
All right. Well,
Man's not
now
wrong.
it is time to share our final thoughts on this movie.
I'm
And
sure I know where two of them are
of
going.
course, we're going to start with our guests. And who wants to start over here?
Nate.
Me. Oh,
Rock, paper, scissors.
Ah.
Ooh.
it was funny. Like every time we watch something, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like the hardest movie to cover. I don't know why I always do that to myself. Revisiting this for 20 years and being like, all right, we're gonna go in not being angsty
Oh
teenager.
my God, this is 20 years old. Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
Partially why I picked it.
But like
God.
to me, the movie is trying too hard to be dirty because it seems so sanitized to me. And a lot of it is it feels like a CW movie just set in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe. So it still does not click for me. I'm glad to have revisited it just to finally give it another whirl. And like the best analogy I can come up with it for, like, it's like deathcore, which is just really shitty music and tries too hard to do what old school death metal does with being grimy and dirty and authentic. And this doesn't feel authentic to me. So that's my problem with it. It just doesn't feel. It feels like it's there to make money, and that's it. And the dirtiness that I get from the original one, especially after rewatching the original, that 4K release that came out, and just seeing how gorgeous those shots are and just how gross that movie is. And I don't feel that grossness from here. Like I said, too much Leatherface. If it wasn't for having Ermi in this role, this movie would not be anything to remember. And like I said, like Pete and I were saying, the first 20 minutes, I'm still into it. But like once it starts to get to the kills, I see a guy's leg getting chopped off. It's like, I don't want to see that in my Texas Chainsaw
It was a fun
Massacre
chop
movie.
It's like,
Yeah, like it's just there's nothing to it that is for me, I guess, unfortunately. So yeah, that's my final thoughts on TCM 2003. But it's still not the worst one in the franchise. If anything, it's like a battle on who could be the worst one in the franchise. I revisited 3 today. It's fucking garbage too.
Why did you do that? You can watch so much other stuff. Dude.
I was bored. I was like, all right, I watched this one. I'll watch the beginning. I'll watch part 3. But Viggo Mortensen's very handsome in part 3.
Well, it's Viggo Mortensen. I mean,
He's got like
Who
Leon
doesn't-
young,
doesn't
very
wanna go to
young
bed with
Viggo
that
dude?
Mortensen.
Yeah.
If you like, I always got it whenever Viggo Mortensen comes up. If you want a good remake of an old car movie, as long as you can do without the drugs, Vanishing Point from the 70s. Have you ever seen that?
why
Viggo
would I do without the drugs?
I know, right? You don't got the titty girl on the motorcycle either. But anyway, there's a remake with him, Viggo Mortensen,
Really?
with Vanishing Point. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good movie. It's a lot less druggy, and it's a pretty good show.
Right. All right, Peter, Charlie, who's going next?
We
I've
know
said what I
Pete's
gotta
thinking.
say.
Well, huh?
Go
Okay,
ahead, Pete. We all know
so-
what you're thinking.
Mhm.
First 20 minutes, I'm on board. And then it just goes down this cliff and I'm bored. I'm bored. This movie bored me. The kills were okay. It didn't. If this wasn't Texas Chainsaw, it may have piqued my interest. But being Texas Chainsaw and and having seen the original years and years ago and being genuinely frightened by it, this missed on all of the hits that was Texas Chainsaw. It was Texas Chainsaw wasn't gory. Texas Chainsaw had a thimbleful of blood in it, but it was still the picture that it drew in your mind made it horrifying. And this just showed you everything, and that's not what I always need. If you want to really fuck with my brain, you don't show anything. For example, the movie Seven didn't show a lot of stuff. It kind of pushed it aside, and you get a flash of it. And that movie, to this day, disturbs me on a level that my brain just goes crazy with it. And I don't want to see Seven. I don't want to see it. It's
funny that we're usually
what's in the
people-
box. I know what's in the fucking box, but I don't want to fucking see it. And I don't see it. And sadly, if I would see it, it would be way easier to digest. And since I don't see it, there it is in my brain pan, just sitting and stewing and making all sorts of awful juice in my brain. This showed things that I didn't want to.
Yeah, it did what most remakes do. It shows you what you didn't see in those originals.
Because it's got
this
the
was
inflated budget now.
This was the start of the tidal wave of remakes that weren't good. And there are only like 3 remakes that are really, really. You got Body Snatchers, The Thing, The Fly, and what's the other? There's one more.
Blob.
The Blob.
Yeah.
Those 4 movies, those remakes are equal to or better than the originals. And I have yet to see something that has been remade that is equal to or better than the original
I think
in the 2000s. So
the non-Michael Bay remakes have all been
fuck
pretty
Michael
solid.
Bay. Michael Bay is a hack.
But what I'm saying though is the non-Michael Bay remakes. God damn it, Pete!
What are you talking?
I'm talking
God damn
about
it,
the ones that he didn't produce, like this one. So like Maniac or Last House on the Left.
Maniac
like,
was
stuff
not
that he
Michael
wasn't
Bay.
part of.
Maniac was pretty good. That remake was The Strangers was
That's
pretty
my
good.
point. You're making my
Crazies was
point
pretty
here.
good.
Wait, The Strangers was a
Yeah.
remake?
There was I thought
Not The
was it The
Strangers.
Strangers?
I think that was an
No.
original idea.
Yeah, that was
The
original.
Crazies.
Well, no.
The
I'm
Crazies,
sorry.
the
Crazy.
Crazies was a remake. Yes.
Great. There's really a strange. I'm sorry. There was a remake of The Crazies, which wasn't bad. That was a Romero originally, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Maniac, which has was it Harry Potter
Frodo.
or Frodo? Frodo
Frodo.
was in it, right? Pretty fucking good.
Like, there's
movie, man.
solid remakes out there for sure. And like we said, even with this one, like if this was your first experience, like
But these
Parker's, like,
big budget
yeah, you're gonna
fuck
like
you
it.
movies can go fuck themselves. I have very little time.
Charlie, take
for-
away from him.
Please do. Please. I'm done.
He's spiraling right now. This is
He
hilarious.
is. Get him away from it.
I wanted
Stop.
to do
He's
this short. I
already
didn't-
dead.
Get to experience what we experience every week.
I'm sorry.
I'm still
It's
trying
good.
to wrap my head around something Nate said of I don't want to see a leg chopped off in a Texas Chainsaw movie.
I
it,
don't.
to me,
and other
is the
movies I
most-
do.
Ridiculous statement I could ever hear because the reason I get pissed off about watching the original is there is no blood, there is no gore.
That's what
You're
makes
talking
it
about a
terrifying.
movie. It's not terrifying. It is the most boring movie I've watched in a
No,
long
it's a
time.
horrifying
It
movie.
it is not. What's horrifying of the original is how loud it is and how in
being
your face
so
it
lit-
is.
Biscuit right now?
No, while this movie has its flaws, I love the fact I get gore in it. I love the fact that I finally get to see body parts flying around, legs falling off, arms falling off, a hook in someone's back, and I get to see it try to lift up out of their back. Story wise, it's not great. Actors, as much as I like to look at Jessica Biel in this movie, she's not the right pick for this movie.
No, she's terrible.
Everyone else is great. Morgan is my favorite character in the entire movie.
The
He
ancillary
gets it
actors
worse.
are solid.
Yeah. Arlie Ermy steals it for the most part, yes. So for a remake and for like introducing a new generation to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this movie's solid.
Way worse.
Like
You could do way worse.
I have zero issue with this one. I don't want to compare it to the original. As much as I don't like the original, I still would never try to compare it to the original. Give Toby Hooper the money he needed for the original one, there would have been more blood in it. There would have been more production value to it. What we got was based on what budget he had. It just happened to work for some people. But giving him the opportunity to just go carte blanche, you would have gotten legs flying. You would have gotten blood and gore and visceral
I
everywhere.
don't know because the
Um,
man made Poltergeist. That's one of the most scariest movies ever made.
Well, he also made
Nobody
Texas
dies
Chainsaw
in
Part
Poltergeist.
2. He makes Part
It's
2.
hysterical.
which
Like part 2 is
is-
my favorite.
But it
totally
throws
different.
blood. It goes gore.
He made
it's
the
everything
fun
he-
house.
Yeah,
It's everything he wasn't able to do with the first movie, and that's my point. Is if he'd have just let him do with money, it wouldn't be like, oh, I didn't want to put a ton of blood in this movie. Fuck no, he wanted to put blood in it. He just didn't have the money for it. So no, I like this one. I like the 03 remake. The rest of the whole series gets just fucking
it just gets
unintelligible
worse.
to me. This is probably it's probably why I like this one more than most, because it's the only one that I can actually sit down, watch, enjoy all the way through. It's a one and done. They don't need sequels. They could just end it. Yeah, I like 2003, man. It's a good movie.
Angela.
Yeah, you go first this time. I went first earlier.
For watching it the first time, yeah, I enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? Probably not. I got what I needed out of it from the first watch.
Nice.
I wish Morgan would have been the final girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a
Because
twist.
the whole scene where they're fighting in the house with, the rats and stuff. Why didn't she pick up the chainsaw then? It was in the floor.
She was too busy
She could have
screaming.
picked up the chainsaw and she could have chopped
She
him
wouldn't have
up
started.
with
She
it.
would have done this number when she tried to start the fucking car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she would have worked.
There's so many times where things could have happened that Leatherface could have been dead. But anyways,
It's fair.
I liked it.
Oh.
Yes, they could have picked different people for different roles, and that probably would have changed it. But
There you go.
that's it.
Well said.
There you go.
There's a point in the night where my brain just kind of like
Done.
the switch flips and I'm done.
He understands that completely.
Yep, Pete totally gets that one.
And I've been
See,
sick.
right now the wires are trying to figure out what to say, but they just can't.
No, I've been sick this week. I didn't nap today. We've been kind of on the go all weekend. It's just my brain is like, stop.
And she's had to deal with the three of us tonight. So
No.
we understand.
I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, that's
I've
fair,
enjoyed all
actually.
of you.
She could just blame me. I invited you guys.
Oh,
No.
Ah, that's fair. Yeah.
And she's got to live with Dan. So
That's true.
Yeah,
She does have to-
this is the main thing.
yeah.
how about you,
Okay.
Dan?
All right.
Give it to us.
Fuck, you don't even have to ask. Anyway,
Oh, give me it.
bring it,
Give me the
boy,
full
bring it.
Dan.
Full Dan, yes.
All right. Yes, I enjoy this movie. I still like this movie after having not seen it in a while. Like, I've seen it a few times when I was younger when it first came out. But I'm going to pretty much build off what everybody said about Jessica Biel, the secondary characters being better, are good, Arlie Ermey, all that fun stuff. But the thing I like about this movie is we compared a lot to the first movie, but this is, I'm kind of glad, even though this is a remake, and they kind of hit on the main points, but they kind of did their own thing. We don't have a Gramps character, really. We don't have one. It's like, Gramps is the best killer. Let's kill him with a hammer. Like, which admittedly, it's a creepy part of the first movie, but it's also kind of ridiculous. I love the first movie. I'm not shitting on it in any way. I'm just how I feel about it. There's no brother character, I guess. I mean, Arlie Ermey would be the next closest thing, but it's like this different cast of characters in a similar situation where, again, we don't get the true family dynamic for it. We get like breadcrumbs of it, but it's not built upon properly. And it is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's kind of doing its own thing a little bit. Like I said, it still hits on the key points. But, they talk about the cannibalism thing, but it's not really in the movie. Like, even watching it again, it's not like, oh, we cut that guy's leg up, time to fucking eat. Like, it's just, you just fill in the blanks, or you imply. No, it's serious. Like, nobody's like, we're gonna eat this guy, or that's good. Let's take a this. It doesn't get brought up.
Never they never state that they're
In
cannibals.
the
You never see
prequel,
what they are. Yeah.
It's
I'm sure that-
nonstop in your face that they're cannibals in the prequel.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
So I've never
There's
seen
a
that. I'm
grandpa.
just gonna keep this as an
Yeah, the
isolated.
prequel was kind of like, hey, all the things that we didn't show you in that first one, it's all going to be in this one.
Yes. And I liked. It almost seems like it's a movie at times just seems fucking hateful, and I think that kind of works for the time it came out, growing up in the early 2000s. I think this fits that motif of like, I think it slots perfectly from a 70s movie into an early 2000s movie, essentially 30 years later. And it just, I think it works. I know I can understand why a lot of people don't like it. I get that 100%, especially nostalgia reasons. I've got that same thing for franchises I love. But I think for what it's trying to do, it works. And I'm not saying it's as good or better than the original, but for what they were trying to do, I think they nailed it. I think we had a decent group of actors that did a pretty good job, and you got some gore, and you got some good tense scenes, and you got some good cinematography, because there's some great shots of that fucking house.
I don't know.
And especially with
dude.
night and stuff, with the fog machines and stuff.
That fog rolling over top of the roof, gorgeous.
So good.
Yep, and there's some things I didn't like. I thought the running around the butcher house or whatever was a little long. Long-winded. I didn't think it needed to be in the movie at all. Like, we didn't even need that. Like, they could have thought of some other way to make the shit happen that needed to happen.
Yeah.
But even like the Jedi with the kid, I don't remember his name. I don't fucking care. There you go. Thank you. Like, she escaped the original movie without help from anybody. Aaron could have escaped in this one with the help of it, without anybody's help. And I agree. I think Morgan was probably one of the better characters in the movie for being right. But I didn't hate these guys. I didn't hate these characters. It was not like a lot of Friday the 13th or slasher movies where you're like just fucking filled with these characters you just fucking hate and can't wait till they die. The villains felt like villains. Well, mainly Arlie Ermy, because the other ones just felt like
they don't really. Yeah, the other ones are just there.
They're just there.
Yeah.
But I like it. It has flaws. I enjoy this movie, and I would watch this movie multiple times into the future. I do like it. It like I said, it does have its flaws, but I do like it.
I'll just say I didn't think you said tense scenes.
Tense? Oh, okay.
I heard something else.
Okay. Tit scenes?
Tit scene.
Tit scenes? There were no tit scenes in this, so you get no boobage. So sorry, guys.
Just no nudities. Yeah, no nudity.
That's
in
just
this
Really,
movie,
really
which is very surprising.
close,
Just where my
really
brain went.
wet shirt moment where
Yes.
you're
Yeah,
like,
just
do
a
I see
soaked shirt.
something or
The-
don't I
But
see
the,
something?
the original didn't have any nudity in it.
The
either.
funniest
yeah,
thing
No, it
Fine.
is there in the movie. You know, you have Jessica Biel with the white shirt, but she's wearing a bra, so you don't see anything, even when she's soaking wet. There are photo edits, like photo stills from this movie where it looks like she's not wearing one. Where it was like, hey guys, this is what Jessica Biel looks like in the movie. And then you see the movie and it's like, no, she doesn't. Stop
Fucking
it.
liars.
Stop it.
You Photoshop nipples
Liar!
into this.
Stop playing with my emotions.
Jessica Biel doesn't have nipples. Oh,
Come on.
Gross.
Mr.
She's an
Skin
alien.
lied to me.
What is it? Rule 34. You got to rule 34 everything.
Yeah.
yeah, you
Or
rule
34 everything.
yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. My final
Rule
thoughts on this
34,
movie.
Jessica Biel doesn't have any nipples.
Yeah, true. True
Sorry,
facts.
I'm sorry. I apologize. You
Watching this again as an adult, I have not seen this movie in probably over a decade. So this is the first time I've seen it as no, I mean early 20s. I guess you consider me an adult, but
You're a man
digress.
now.
I saw the flaws. I've seen all of the rest of the series since then, so I have more of an appreciation for those early Texas Chainsaw movies. I do enjoy the original because of the grittiness and because of like knowing what Tobe Hooper went through to make it. I think since starting the show, I've been able to see certain movies not just as the movie itself, but everything that happened, you know, behind the scenes. And I think that's why I can appreciate movies that a lot of people don't like more than I think I probably would have enjoyed them at a younger age. I like that they tried something different. They did the name change. I think having Leatherface be different than his original counterpart, having different type of final characters or having a different group of characters that, to be honest, I like the core group of characters in this compared to the original. But I hate to keep comparing it to the original because I don't feel this is a remake of the original. I feel like it's its own, it's its own movie. It's just a different interpretation of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre story. And I think this is to be honest, to date, I think this is the scariest Leatherface. Even after the most recent rewatch, I think he's brooding, he's terrifying. Every scene you see him in, he's scary. And as I feel the other Leatherfaces are scary, but then you have the very comical versions of the character where this one is scary from beginning to end, in my opinion. I wish we got the family dynamic a little bit more, but you know what? They were trying something a little bit different, and I can appreciate them for that. I don't care about, you always have to have those characters you just don't give a shit about. Like, why are they here? Like, this is just cannon fodder. I like the fact that we got the girl instead of the brother. Like that was really cool. The fact that it's a victim and not just somebody luring them to the house to then be slaughtered. There's a lot of good, good things that I saw from this recent viewing. I like the fact that we get to see more violence in this compared to the original. We get to see like people getting chopped up because that's what it's a dude who kills people with a chainsaw. I want to see him use it. I want to see the gore. Like, I understand that's what movies of that time was all about. It was all about the blood and gore, and it's not what everything I wanted from it, but I could appreciate the fact that like we're seeing this dude getting his leg chopped off. We're seeing this dude hanging from a meat hook, and he just looks nasty. And yes, this movie doesn't look as dark and gritty and dirty as again, I keep fucking going back to the original, but I feel like you have to at some point, like, keep going back and forth with them. But I still enjoy the hell out of this movie. I'll still watch it any chance I if it's on TV or if I'm bored and I want to throw it in, this is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie I can watch on multiple occasions. Like I feel like there's other ones that it's just like I've seen it once, I'm good. Yeah, I would love to see them do something similar to this one in the future because 2022 just wasn't it for me.
Do you know who couldn't direct that movie?
Michael Bay.
No, Rob Zombie, because it's already about a bunch of Southern hicks.
It did it was the Devil's Rejects. That's what the Devil's Rejects is.
But yeah, but that whole like his whole like angle, like we'll make him a bunch of like low class, or low income white Americans that beat each other.
They're all in a high rise building in Dallas.
Yeah, that's where it starts. Yeah. Rich people enable
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it starts.
All right, before we get to the very end of the show, we do have some comments. Every week we do post what movie we're covering, and then you get to comment on your thoughts on the movie over on X/Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Our first one is from Ebony or at ebunny061, who just sent me a link to a Ed Gein the Musical on YouTube.
Whoa!
I've heard that.
So go to our post and click on that. I still haven't watched it yet. I'm kind of scared. And our next one is from at Eyeball Soup, who said, "What are you doing in my house?" I ask every time I keep turning to see the Blu-ray sitting on my shelf. All in all, I thought it was a pretty fun, though, with a pretty killer soundtrack. I will add my favorite parts are the black and white hand cam, which that was Nate's favorite part of the movie.
Yeah. Yep.
And I could go for an actual found footage Texas Chainsaw film. That would be dope.
That would be cool.
That would be dope.
I think that'd be a cool way to go about it.
Do Blair Witch with Texas Chainsaw. I think that might be pretty cool.
Yeah, but nobody gets killed with a chainsaw.
Seriously.
Well, you don't see any actual cuttings of people. It's all off camera.
It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
No, I think it'd be cool. And
Bullshit.
So we did get a couple over on Instagram. Our first one is from Let's Talk Horror Channel, good friend BP, who said, "I'll always have strong opinions on this, but it is a film that will live in the shadow of the OG, but deserves to be recognized for what it is. A full-on horror with amazing scenes, and Arlie Ermy gives a great performance. And the film is one of the most aesthetically gorgeous films out there with some amazing shots. I could go on, but I won't, but I have always loved this movie." Oh, yeah, and the other one was just from you guys, so I don't need to read.
What do we say?
Well, you said you hadn't seen this in 20 years, so
Yeah.
there we go. All right, well, that is about it, guys. So before we go, though, share with us where we can find you, what your show's all about, and share with the world.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Get it, Charlie.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is all me now. Okay.
You're damn
Well,
right.
hey,
it is.
we are Give Me Back My Action and Horror Movies. We are a weekly podcast that alternates each week talking about action and horror movies, mostly from the VHS era, but we do throw in some newer stuff. Heck, the 2020s or the 2000s are 20 years ago. So those are old, and VHSs came out then too. We have a lot of fun over there doing that. If you want to find us, we are on Spotify, Apple, all the podcatchers that are out there, and social medias, which is where we found our friends here at Dissect That Film. We are on Facebook at Give Me Back My Action, the Facebook group. Give Me Back My Horror Movies, the Facebook group. Both of us are on Instagram. We're on X. We're on Threads. We're on TikTok, all the places, all the fun shit. So that's where you can find us, and that's what we do.
Yes, thank you all for being here. It was a blast.
Thank you.
This is
This
was
is
fun.
a good time.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm glad this finally got to happen.
Thank you guys for
Let's
coming.
do this
Yeah.
again.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys, you guys are awesome. As I
Jules.
said before, I love your show. I listen to your show every week, and you guys have such a great rapport, and you guys bounce off each other so well. Even with the, I love the like we got to see here. You guys kind of going after each other. It's always a good time, and we have a lot of fun. And it was great to.
It's easy to pick on Nate. There's so much to pick on.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm the one getting picked on. I'm innocent.
Because
We pick
Charlie's
on Pete
bigger
quite a
than
bit,
both
too.
of us.
This
Yeah,
is
that's true.
He's scurry.
And I know where you both live, so that works.
Shit.
Before we go into our socials and all that fun stuff, we're going to talk a little bit about next week. Next week, which is not, you're getting an episode early. We usually release on Fridays, but you're going to be getting an episode on Halloween Day.
Whoa!
We are going to be going through the entire Halloween franchise, talking about each one and ranking them to have our definitive Dissect That Film Halloween franchise ranking. We did it with Friday the
sons of bitches.
We did it with Friday the 13th, and so now since Halloween is celebrating 45 years, we got a lot of those movies are celebrating big anniversaries this year. We said, fuck it, we're going to watch all 13 Halloween movies, and we're going to rank them all, and then we're going to have a definitive ranking.
You have to revisit Ends?
Yes, I am rewatching every single one of them because I want to know what they're like now as an adult, because some of them I have not seen since I was a kid. So I got to revisit them to see.
Since I was a kid.
Well, like 4 and 5, it's been a long time. The last time I watched those was like when AMC would always show them for like Fear Fest.
Yeah, that was the only ones they would
show.
It
legit.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been an adventure. And some of them have been doozies, and I can't wait to go through them and rank them and get to talk about them, because that Friday the 13th episode was a lot of fun, and it's something different. It's something different from our normal show. So yeah, so you're going to be getting an early episode on Halloween Day. It's very exciting, and so that means that Friday you're going to be getting a live show like we do at the end of every month. So at least you will be getting something on Friday instead of a new episode. But you can find Dissect That Film on all the social medias, of course. You can find us at Dissect That Film on all the podcast apps, on YouTube. Wherever you type in Dissect That Film, you're probably going to find us on something.
I'm working on an X video account.
Yes, Pornhub, all those things.
Yeah, we're going to make it happen.
Or you could just go to any one of our social media. Or you could just go to our Linktree in any one of our socials bios, and we have all the links you need. And all of the links for Dan and Angela and myself, our personal links, are down in the description. All the links for Let's Give Me Back My Horror Movies / action movies will be down in the description as well. So you can find everything down below. And yeah, that's going to be it for us, everybody. It's been a long one, but it's been a fun one. So until next time, wait, I forgot to thank, we have a Patreon, guys.
Oh, shit.
We have a Patreon. I always fucking do this shit. We have a Patreon. And guess what? There's a change now. We have two tiers. We have a $1 tier where you get episodes early. We have now, I am dropping the price on our $5 tier down to $3 for the rest of the year. So if you want to join on the Patreon, it is now $3 and you get extra shows. We have a monster show where we spin a wheel every month. We talk about monster movies. It's really fun. It's called The Monster Zone. Dan and Angela host that one. And then we also have a Tubi show that we sometimes do, but we're going to do it now that we dropped that price down because we want people to join the Patreon. So patreon.com/dissect that film. And thank you to all the people who are patrons right now. You're amazing, and thank you for the support. And now I can end the show.
Hang on.
What?
You want to know what's on Monster Zone this month?
No.
No.
They'll figure it out. But until
you out.
I can never end this show, smoothly, all right? So let's go. Until next time, I am Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming, and that is Nate, Pete, and Charlie of Give Me Back My Horror / action movies. See y'all again next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye.